welcome into Peter Howard's live stream with Russ and Zach. Because, Peter's off doing Peter things, and so you're stuck with us. The chat is not hot. This is the first week I've been here, and I've been here a lot. I think this is like 5 or 6 weeks in a row that I've started. It's the first week that the chat has not been absolutely popping before. Hey, Nicholas, good to see you. But it's the first time the chat hasn't been just popping even before we got in.
I don't know. Some guy named Russ Fisher really likes your shirt.
It's a nice shirt. I'm an addict, and I'm not really ashamed.
I'm an addict. Such a good song. Like, seriously, that song is better than the show. Like that.
Well, I mean, anything Gabe puts out is going to be the answer. Jay, hey.
So, Zach, did you watch the Pro Bowl?
No, I did not. I was watching both Jahan Dotson film and Bluey. I was a lot more excited about Bluey.
Bluey's not bad.
No, Bluey's really good in terms of kids shows, but much better than Jahan Dotson. It doesn't double catch nearly as much as Dotson does. Bluey.
Yeah.
Good hands.
Man,
good hands in traffic.
Was like a big name a little while ago, and now like third tier in just in wide receivers. That's rough.
Well, and like I don't know the full story about it, but originally he was supposed to go to the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
Eventually pulled out of the Senior Bowl.
Okay.
And so there are, I think anytime you're out of sight, out of mind, regardless.
Was it Tyler Johnson that did that?
Yes. Well, Tyler Johnson, I don't even think was invited to the Senior Bowl. Yeah.
Like one of them backed out.
It was Tyler Johnson because he was supposed to go to the Senior Bowl and ended up not, and just draft stock tanked. I think he ended up being like a 6th-round pick.
Not by the Patriots.
Is a free agent this year, so he could still end up a Pat. But yeah. So Dotson again, out of sight, out of mind, not at the Senior Bowl, if you're on Twitter at all, you know how much hype the Senior Bowl carries in some circles. And so, I mean, you've seen Malik Willis go from an afterthought to everybody says he's QB1 because he had 2 good drills. Dameon Pierce is another one that they were like, Dameon Pierce has been amazing in practice. I'm like, yes, because he's got the best vision in the class, but he can only get you 4 yards. So that vision doesn't really translate outside of these drills. Very good in practice, bro. Yeah, he's not bad. Like, I don't want to sit there and say he's terrible because he's fine, but he played behind P. Ryan and somebody else who's going to be bagging groceries at some point. So 2 guys who ended up in the NFL but weren't really NFL players. He played behind them. So, I mean, the Dotson thing, yeah, it hurt him not going to the Senior Bowl, but I also think that he was really kind of pushed up based on that Penn State, based on the receivers that have come out of Penn State in the last 3 or 4 years, even going back to Allen Robinson. But, that has been a pretty prolific place. And
I love Penn State pass catchers, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like big Clemson wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, but also you bring in tight ends. You got Gesicki and Muth. I mean, there's
well, and then Barkley and
Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders. Like they've been kind of a powerhouse.
Wait, this guy loves KJ Hamler.
He does. KJ Hamler. Give us some KJ Hamler talk to. Oh, sorry.
Nope. That's his talk.
What are we doing? Sorry, I'm still getting in. Who's Christian Watson? I was looking him up. He played with Trey Lance, apparently.
South Dakota State. I have not watched him yet. He was on the radar, Nicholas, before the Senior Bowl. Like, he was one of the players that I have on my list of guys to go watch because with the Dynasty Dummies draft kind of preamble that we do 2 shows of the top 12 running backs, 2 shows of the top 12 receivers. We do a catch-all quarterback tight end show. And then after the quarterback and tight end show, we go back and get guys that not everybody's talking about. And Christian Watson is on that list of course, now everybody's talking about him, but he, again, small school, South Dakota State. And I will get back with you, Nicholas, in 2 weeks, and we can talk some Christian Watson, but I don't have much to say on him just yet.
Yeah, small enough school. I don't have him. He didn't play. Trey Lance's team doesn't make the cutoff, the places that collect stats. So, yeah, I hate him, I guess. I don't know. We'll see where he lands.
Yeah,
He's that kind of player. Like, he can burn a fourth or a fifth on him because he can burn a fourth or a fifth on anyone, but I'm probably going to wait to see if he gets anywhere and even records a stat in the NFL before I'll be interested.
Well, and the really kind of frustrating thing about the Senior Bowl is because he's been talked about so much in the last couple of weeks and because everybody will start to look at Christian Watson, you're going to hear him enough that he'll probably end up being a third-round rookie pick.
It's interesting. I tell you what, I do have something to add. My half-adult state. Senior Bowl. Right. So I was asking people about whether the Senior Bowl mattered, and a whole bunch of people had a conversation on my thread, not with me. It definitely didn't feel like it was a conversation with me about how obvious it was that it matters and how many players have actually, broken out after just doing well at the Senior Bowl. And there was some discussion on, did they have to be unknown before or only known college players? And I left it very open as much as I was asked, either. And I guess someone big must have retweeted it because there were a lot of answers and everyone was utterly convinced that there were a lot of players and I was stupid. And so I went through the thread and I found eight players in ever. And that's not including IDP. And the big name was Debo, which is very, very fair, but he was also a second-round pick. So what I'm going to say is that's what I do with Watson as well. If what he does in the Senior Bowl is reflected in his draft capital, I'm highly interested in taking a closer look. But mostly it's baked into the stuff we already look at.
I think it does. Like we were talking
it
about
matters for teams
before.
Definitely.
I think eyes on is really what it really is, especially when you have dumb GMs like Dave Gettleman, who will
just the same way. It's the same way the combine matters. So it's reflected in their draft capital. You're just trying to not you, but to put more emphasis as a fantasy player on it is trying to double, triple, quadruple count whatever goes into their draft capital. So
I think it has nothing to do with production, nothing to do with fantasy, with the NFL. But yes, I think it does affect draft capital because you have some lazy people who will overcount what the Senior Bowl does. You ask, like you guys talk to Dave Gettleman. Like the first time someone asked Dave Gettleman why he took Daniel Jones, he brought up the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, that was a big part of Deebo Samuel, and I was like, that's very true. He was a second-round pick, and that's the thing. Like if you're Zach Reed and you're trying to get a better sense of what this player can do, I get it. It's the same thing as a team. I think everyone in the thread had never met me before, and I was like, I literally don't care what you think about my talent evaluation. I don't have one. I want to know what a dumb person like me can do with it, and the answer is ultimately nothing. Well, the teams. It matters for the players. It matters for the teams. Absolutely.
Yes.
For me, just a person trying to make a fantasy pick, it's probably not for me. It's not for me. And
we've got so much cross-pollination now with the Senior Bowl initially was, and people reporting back from the Senior Bowl were initially the NFL draft nicks. And so that portion mattered because they were getting information that reflected their ability to predict draft picks. Now you've got a lot of people going down with a fantasy football lens, and I think that's not necessarily helpful to the majority of fantasy football players because what the Senior Bowl does, and it's exactly what you said, is give players a chance to highlight themselves in front of NFL teams and NFL GMs who may not have seen them play. For us, it's literally 3 days of drills and one game where you may see a player play a half. I am not going to let that influence the 8 to 14 games of a player that I have watched over their career. Like that little snippet, doesn't change anything until the NFL says it changed our mind.
But if you have legitimately asking, like you have a guy like Christian Watson who played for, what was it, the South Dakota State Murder Hornets? That's their name, right? He doesn't go up against the best competition in the world because of is that even a conference, whatever you want to call it, the grouping of schools that he plays against. But would you actually care to?
I lied, North Dakota, not South. North.
Oh, sorry, North Dakota. Yes, correct. I apologize. It's not the Murder Hornets. It's the North Dakota Mountain Goats. Would you actually watch that to see him against like a Bama cornerback?
I would be more interested in. I mean, I guess maybe, but that's such a small it's
absolutely
such a small sample. I would be more interested in him at the combine. Like if this gets him a combine invite, I'm more interested to see, his testing numbers that say, yes, this is real. Like what we saw in the Senior Bowl is real. What we saw on tape against my default school is the Sisters of the Poor School for the Blind, but against the lower conference school, then all of a sudden I'm more inclined to be in. I mean, it was the James Robinson a couple of years ago where he just rolled up crazy numbers at a small school and then tested well enough that you were like, oh, okay, I am more interested now that I know that he was not only the best athlete on the field, but an NFL caliber athlete. And that to me is more important than this, like, again, 3 days at the Senior Bowl. And that's not to poo-poo the Senior Bowl. It's a great thing.
It's a great thing for the NFL. It's a great thing for these kids. Absolutely. Yeah. And I say kids because they're less than half my freaking age. I can say that now, even though they're much bigger people.
The other part is it's fun.
It doesn't matter because it's a irrelevant question. So I'll just say, yeah, I'll poo-poo it. Sure, bring it. I think it sucks. Fuck it. But it's not. Like I think David Johnson's a good example though. Oh, Cooper Kupp, he was one of the eights. They're people I can't have an opinion on them. Their stats aren't recorded anywhere else.
Cooper Kupp,
it's not ignore. It's just
1,400 yards every single season he was in college. Like Cooper Kupp was not a surprise. He was not a surprise.
Even if you leave the definition very loose, though, it's like people mentioned Dak Prescott, and there were two people going back and forth on how well known he was to people who watched college. But I think it's fair to say someone like me wouldn't have known about Dak until he was drafted in the 4th round. And so, there's very much a lack of definition here. But that's also because it's a tape exercise. It's watch these players, see what you learn, which is also probably why it mostly rolls into ADP. I think some of the more interesting examples on the list of 8, I've got it written down somewhere. I think it might have got up to 11, depending on how giving you want to be to the list, was like Hunter Renfrow. He's someone drafted in the 5th round. So it wasn't obviously baked into his ADP, but I mean, so there are a couple examples. And again, I was just asking off the cuff. So these few players, Matt Forte in 2008, by the way, David Johnson 2015, these few players are probably not the entire list, but I think the exaggerated effect or response to it in our little community is because honestly, it's the same reason I get excited about 5th round picks. It's because we dream of finding the diamond in the rough, the guy no one knew about. And this is our first chance to try and do that.
I said his name's Aladdin.
I didn't want to false name him. I don't know.
No, but I also think when you were talking about like people not really knowing Dak Prescott until the Senior Bowl and stuff like that, but that was also 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Like, what's the internet nowadays compared to what it was 6-7 years ago? Like, I don't think there's guys in the Senior Bowl we haven't heard of at this point. Okay,
all right. There were some good names like Mac Jones, Josh Palmer, Michael Carter were mentioned from last year's class. The year before, Justin Herbert. And I took a glance because he's a quarterback, so I had no idea. And it's true, his stats, the ones I look at if I rank quarterbacks, didn't shine like they should have because he's so good in the NFL. compared to the others in his class. Antonio Gibson from 2020 as well. But again, yeah, it's like 2 or 3 every other year, mostly. And 2019's a little thicker because you got Debo McClure and Am Renfro. If you want
I see nobody's claiming Zay Jones. I see.
Yeah, that's the thing. And no one, and I didn't ask, to be fair, and I wasn't going to get the same response again, so I just gave up. I hear names every year and never hear about them again. I remember Braxton Miller, for example. No one remembers Braxton Miller, and he was that exact guy. All the hype from the Senior Bowl, nothing. It did get into his draft capital a little bit, but not much, and nothing ever really materialized. For every one that stands out and gets hype, there's probably at least 2 that get hype and you never hear about it again. That's my imaginary memory of it. Apparently, JJ Arcega-Whiteside did good in the Senior Bowl as well back in 2019. There were some misses people remembered.
That just proves this means absolutely nothing.
Where are you guys on Damian Pierce? I looked him up, and I do. That's a guy I have a rank on. He's a running back, and my note simply says sucks. Decent last 2 years, but kind of sucks. That's it. I've got him ranked in my 8th. He's there because I looked at him. That's it. Anyone got anything better than that?
He's 11 out of 12 guys that I've watched so far. But I mean, again, he is a good enough running back that he will stick on an NFL team, and if somebody is injured, he can come in and give you a game or 2. He's good in pass pro. He's not a bad receiver. I wish he was used more in the receiving game. That was one of my notes on him, is that he wasn't used enough, which is not something I normally say about guys, but he's fine. He's got great vision, like legit the best vision in the class. Like if I needed 4 yards, I want Damian Pierce to have the ball. He presses the line of scrimmage really well. He sets up blocks really well. So like he'll make a cut and attack the line of scrimmage in a direction that he does not want to go, to get the defender to commit to the opposite side of his blocking so he can cut back. But he can't do anything once he gets to the second level. And so it doesn't matter that he created that hole, because once he gets in space, he doesn't have much speed. I think he's athletically underwhelming, and he really just doesn't have the ability to create in space. So again, he's fine, but underwhelming. Like if you could combine his vision with like Kevin Harris's athleticism, you would have the best running back in the NFL. It would be incredible.
Can we do like a Frankensteining perfect?
I think mine was more succinct, but that's cool. Yeah. And you got to remember what I'm basically doing is comparing them to Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, and all the players that have hit. And compared to that, his production sucks. His last 2 years look decent for college running back. And like Zach said, that can always be hiding a player that's actually better than how well he compares to those players. So yeah, he's fine if he gets an interesting landing spot or draft capital. But if you're asking me, is he going to break out no matter where he goes? It's no. That doesn't look like it. Nicholas J again, lighting up the chat all by himself. What should be my next move in a rebuild? I would go with the Dougie, but it's up to you.
No, the gritty's the new hotness. Go with the gritty.
Oh, fair enough. I only know the one. I'm sorry. QB1 got Kyler Murray. No good running backs. It's fine. Best is Moss. Has Deante Johnson, Christian Kirk, Waller, and bunch of picks.
Trade some of those picks for wide receivers.
Yep.
Go see what you can. Keep the 103 till you get closer to the draft, but just if you can get some steals with the 107, 109, and the 202, absolutely just go for it.
Yep.
Like,
Draft a lot of running backs in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round. Just approach it like you would anything else. I don't see anything in particular.
Looking at like the 24, he's got 424 firsts, which is nice. But if you can rebuild and get there quicker, like I usually try to do a 2-year kind of reload when I do it, where I like, and I've talked about this before on the show, but I identify a class, I get a whole bunch of picks in that class and just reload that way. But if you've got 3 firsts next year, plus you've got 4 firsts in 2024, use some of those 24 picks to see if you can get some of those younger wide receivers, and then pepper running back. The next year's class should have a pretty good top end of running backs come out in 2023. So
what you should do, wait a little bit on what Zach said. Wait until after the 22 draft, because that will put 24 picks in people's minds as the next thing they can get at, because everyone now, the next draft is 23. Right. So if they're close to finishing their rebuild, or if they have their eyes on rebuilding, they want to do it now. They want to do it in the next possible draft. So you just be like, find 1 or 2 people and be like, dude, 23 draft is way too expensive already. I have 4 of these 24 firsts. Oh, you got T. Higgins sitting on your team? I'll give you 2 of them. Give me T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a little tougher than that, don't get me wrong. But I mean, that's, if you're with those 24 firsts, man, that's forever from now. And you have good bones on that team. So why wait 2 years, especially when you have 3 picks at what in next year's draft, which is going to be very good. So if you can build up your wide receivers right now and take 2 or 3 running backs with your 23 picks, you'll be ready to compete in 24.
I want to change Christian Kirk and Deante Johnson into better value wide receivers. I want Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, add some of those picks and revamp those. And what you're looking for is your timing to go all in. And I don't know when that's going to be. It depends how this draft goes for you. Depends how some of your depth goes off. But that's what you're looking for. Until then, I'm just trying to keep on keeping on.
Well,
and what those guys said is a good way of doing it.
Well, Christian Kirk being a free agent, you'll have, once the league year opens, or once the rumors start flying about people meeting with people talking with people, that's your time to sell Christian Kirk, because he had a couple of very good games in Arizona.
He's solid. I think you can find a fan is the thing. Like he's a good player on a good team, and he can do things. So
yeah, I've acquired a decent amount of shares, so I think you could use that to get better value on him. Honestly, Deante Johnson is more valuable when he's scoring points, because people have such a weird idea that he's just not good, and he did good because Ben was bad.
Oh, I think that's exactly true. Good. It's just, you can pick better timing. I wouldn't trade him for low what I think they're worth. And Deontay's falling exceptionally right now, but
and for no
I
reason.
also don't want those points next year. My team isn't solid enough. I want those points, so I've got it in my head, if you know what I mean. Yeah, but I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I was just looking for something to add, Russ. Get off my back. Nicholas J says Ray GQ is in the
jerk.
You look so hurt. Stop staring at me with your little sad face. Got Christian Watson in the top 65. Is that a good thing? Like, I don't know with Ray. He just loves players, okay? Sometimes I feel like everything he says sounds so positive, but saying he's players in your top 65 is more a brag that you're ranking top 65 players. I love Ray, but he loves players.
Like, in the fantasy football community, who would you rather get bad news from? I think Ray is the easy answer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Because he'll absolutely, bro, you got this so hard that you're just like, wait.
You'd end up thinking, wow, this was awesome. I'm
so great. My house burned down. That was tying me down, man. I
am. Wow, he really put it in perspective. Yeah. David Sheen seeing lots of Rondo Moore improve in year 2. He better. Because AJ Ertz, Kirk. Yeah, look, maybe that's great. And I think he did well enough in his rookie season. I'll believe it. The narrative someone wants to make to, believe in that, I just miss me with. Like, I don't care what you think 3 other people are going to do, so 3 other people are going to do something else. Other people better at those things. I'm not. I just think Rondale Moore did enough in his rookie year to believe he could, and that's it. That's where my level of hope is at.
It's
Yes,
more. It's more that it's a sign that the team is willing to let these people leave than it is, hey, these targets are opening up. Because like we constantly make fun of Gabe Davis that, oh man, now that Cole Beasley and Emmanuel Sanders are out of the way, he could finally shine. That's not really what we're doing with Rondale. We're saying that the Cardinals are adjusting the wide receivers they have to allow to run the game they want. And we saw Kingsbury's first 2 years where you saw he wasn't ready to run the offense he was, and it got weird, and they're finally getting to a place where they can, and he picked Rondale Moore to do that. And it wasn't like that first year where, like, what was Kelvin Benjamin the one that went there? I can never remember. Or Harmon, I can't remember anymore.
Harmon. Yeah.
Wait, Kelvin Benjamin was the old Panther guy, right? Names.
Yes, right.
Like, it's not that he just stopped using Rondale like he did with these guys that apparently didn't fit his system in the end. He kept using more, in which case I think that this is not a vacated targets narrative. It's more a narrative of maybe the team, maybe Kingsbury thinks he's ready to step into that bigger role now. And we'll see that if Arizona doesn't reach back out to Christian Kirk, or if they don't go after Juju Smith-Schuster, like that kind of stuff. That's more, at least when I say it, that's where I'm coming from.
That's fine, but that's what I'm saying I want to do. It's not that that doesn't make perfect sense. It's just that if it doesn't happen, it still made perfect sense, and I'm not sure it's any more. I have no idea if it's any more or less likely. I mean, even if they come out and say it, I don't know I can believe how well they're going to
you never
be
believe
able to execute their intention or how well they're telling me their intention. I think it's a very fair read of the situation, but it could also just as easily not happen for any variety of reasons.
Oh, 1,000%.
I think his stats year one are good enough to have hope. I don't see enough there to go charging in with yeah. There's definitely signs that he's going to improve drastically in fantasy, because that's what players who have done what he did do moving forward. I mean, his closest comparable comps are like a tight end kind of Timothy Wright, Kendall Tompkins, Antonio Callaway, who I did kind of like, and Keelan Cole, who I kind of liked as well.
I like Keelan Cole a little bit.
I mean, it's not terrible. He did fine. But if I try and weight those narratives, especially considering how much I like him, his actual performance on his touches is actually comparable to better players, but that had a slower burn in terms of development, and more hopes from the draft. Like DeAndre Hopkins performed as well on his touches as Rondale Moore in his first season, if you measure them across their per attempt basis. But Hopkins took just an extra step before he really got going, and I don't think Rondale Moore's Hopkins. I'm just comparing their overall performance. You've also got someone with Tyler Lockett, who, did also take a second, partly because of another injury. Alan Hearns took a second, but didn't quite hit the heights of either. There's hope there. But if I try and, that's it. There is hope. I think building a narrative is just going to make me overvalue it.
Well, that's the problem. What you don't realize is us not numbers people. Anything we say is just stuff to make us feel better. That's all it is. It's like, no, I could paint a picture to make me not sad. It's like I could paint a picture to make me excited. Okay, I got this. All right, let's go serotonin. We got this. Let's go. Like that's what not numbers fantasy football is.
More and most positive players, or any players that can come up with a comparison, he was used more heavily in the rushing game. And it's like saying, therefore, he's Deebo Samuel. It's like, maybe, but he's not Deebo Samuel. Like, it's not bad that he was used in the rushing game and therefore didn't have a higher target share. It's not bad that he had a lower ADOT, but it's not good. These things aren't good or bad to me. They're just that I know they're part of the situation. I'm really hoping they can improve. He wasn't efficient as we typically look at it, like fantasy points over expected. But I think his per game of performance, like yards per team attempt, yards per snap, they compare positively to some past players. But I was hoping for more. And I think it's, what's his value right now? Like a late first? I think that's fair.
Around there,
You
yeah.
know, that's fair.
I like how
but
he
if
just
I'm going,
Zach out of the Rondell Moore conversation.
he just stopped interrupting. Zach's too polite, unlike us. Is the thing. Go, Zach. Say things.
I mean, you guys pretty much said it all. I am in on Rondell Moore's talent. I don't think it's the people leaving. Right. I think Rondell Moore is good. If I am proven wrong, I'll own it. But I think Rondell Moore is good. I would definitely trade a
late first for him.
Late first for Rondell Moore.
Yeah.
In fact, I tried to trade a first in this class last year after you took him in the second immediately.
Well, let me ask it this way, because this is where it gets. I don't want to say it because I don't want to be. I don't want to be out on Moore. But like, if I have a chance to get Elijah Moore, Deante Smith, and Rondell Moore for the same late first, which one are you going for?
Both
of the other two. Both of the other two over Rondell. Definitely.
That's the thing that makes me go, yeah, I like him, but if I could get the other two, unfortunately, that's where I'm at right now.
Again,
I do like Rondell Moore, but
it shades. I mean, like you would be. It would be ludicrous to not take the two players who have shown to be better in the NFL than to take the guy who hasn't yet.
I think Zach's saying it perfectly. Teased out by me, obviously. So just throw that out there. But yeah, that's what it is. Like I want to get Rondell Moore. It's just for it's something I want to say so I can say it. But in my actual league, I think I can get other players for the same value. And if he's held, it's difficult. You know, I'm not out on Rondell Moore. It's hard to say he's a target of mine because there are other players that are probably similar. But I don't know. Russ, you're the trade king, right? You've probably got DLF of them right now, ready to slam me with. Actually, they're drafted 20 spots below Rondell Moore or something.
I love you.
No, I did. Cool. I love you too. But yeah, that's where my head's at. I want Rondell Moore for sure. But if I can get Deante Smith or Elijah Moore, both have warts as well after their first season. They just did a little better. And talking live to a bunch of people, I just want to be honest. Like, I want Rondell Moore, but there are other targets in the same value kind of chunk. And it depends what's going on in your league. If he's the one you'll get, I think he could definitely work out for you.
Just to put it out there,
late first in this class, you know.
Just to put it out there on DLF ADP, just because you brought it up. Elijah Moore, wide receiver 19, Deante Smith 16, Rondell Moore 39.
Yeah, so there's quite a big difference.
Okay, so there is there you go. Yeah, if he's, it depends if they're more or less than that first. Would you rather take a late first round pick in this class? No, I'd rather take Rondell Moore.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I probably would rather have most those guys over. If we're talking super flex, start me at like the maybe 6 or 7, and I'd rather take the Devonta and Elijah. Maybe probably another pick. No, straight. Yeah, no, I'd probably just take Rondell pretty quickly after them. I don't know. Like I've become insanely disenchanted with this draft at this point. Like I like
a lot of the players in it. I'll be honest, some of like a lot of them, but it's because I think they're all high second round picks. If you know what I mean? Like I want them all around there.
Like I know it's early, but like every year I usually find a wide receiver to fall in love with. And to be fair, I haven't actually gotten to the wide receiver talks in the wide receiver hootenanny episode. I just like it got into the intro. I'm like, oh crap, I have to go get my kids now. Like I'm sitting in the parking lot of the school, just like playing games on my phone, listening. Oh crap! Aftercare closes in 10 minutes. Gotta go. You know. So I didn't actually get to it. But like, it's early. But every year there seems to be one guy. Like I'm gonna go get that guy.
All you need is the intro. That's all you need.
You know, where Zach says, "Hey, welcome to Dynasty Dummies," and then like J Mike shoves him out of the way. I'm hosting this. I'm
hosting this.
Yeah, so like none of that has happened. I don't really fall in love with running backs, so that doesn't matter to me. But
I'll tell you what's happened. Zach's preemptively took some of the wind out of my sails on a few of the players I would normally feel that way. Like he's trying to not let me hurt myself, I guess, but I wish he'd stop. Like he mentioned Sky Moore to me before I even knew that was going to be a problem. And Chris Olave I like pretty well, but like
Look, a lot of people like Olave. Like Riley Bymaster, who's a lot smarter than I am, has Olave as his number one wide
He's
receiver.
a lot younger than you are. That's different.
He is a lot younger too. He's got much better hair. Yeah.
Oh, God, he liked Riley. He's just trying to hurt me at this point.
I have the 101 and I'm a contender. Should I be?
I love Riley, by the way. Riley's
try and target someone. What player should I target? Okay, I feel like we answer this every single week. Don't target players. You take the best player and then do something with it later. But man, if you're competing, like we've just been saying this entire time, there's no guy in this draft that's going to make you great. Like there's no Saquon, there's no Zeke, there's no Jamar Chase, even there's no wide receiver that's going to do it for you. So absolutely 100%, if you can go and grab I got freaking Addison Hayes. I got into a back and forth with someone in one of my leagues about Tyreek Hill versus the 101, and in my head, it's Tyreek Hill by a landslide in just that one conversation. And then we do the DLF trade show, which comes out tomorrow. We recorded it today. Today's Wednesday, right? Man, days have no meaning anymore. And the first trade he brings up is Tyreek Hill for the 101. So I'm like, you know what? I'm telling my story before we talk about this. I'm not going to do that now. But to me, like, if you can get Tyreek Hill for the 101 and you're a contender, you just pushed yourself into a serious contender in one move with a pick you don't need. And you will get a player that is so much better. And I don't give a crap that he's going to be 28 in a couple of days. He is going to be great for the next few seasons. And that's all that matters.
So many of the questions we get this time of year are so sharp. They're like, Rondo Moore, would you trade that late first? And stuff like that. And then I forget, and it takes Twitter to remind me, that's not where most people are at. It's Tyreek Hill for a first-round pick. I don't have to be much of a contender to know I can flip him for more in season. Doesn't matter. Everyone's going to remember. It's Deante Johnson or a first. Deante Johnson, stop it. And so that's mostly where the trades are at. And it's like, those are just, just take the player. Jeez, get out of here.
There's such a gravitas with the 101. No, it is. It's like Hallis. It's the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. I have the 101. And so people get caught up in that, and why make that offer? See if you can get a player that can help your team significantly with that pick, because that pick may be Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill already is Tyreek Hill. The same thing with Deante Johnson. The same thing with any of those wide receivers. Even I know Peter doesn't like to go get running backs this time of year, and I don't blame him. But even looking at your team, and if you've got a running back one and like a couple of running back twos, maybe you can add another running back one with that 101, and all of a sudden your team is not just a contender, but the bull of the woods. Peter, you got to drive the ship.
Oh, sorry. Jared Wackley is telling me that I might be much closer on Christian Watson and George Pickens in 1 month. So I'm making a note to tell him to remind me of that, because I won't be.
I'll be interested. I really like George Pickens, so that'll be interesting.
I got my microphone on my keyboard and it kicked me out.
Oh, no. David Shaheen, thoughts on Mike Daniels' OC hire for the 49ers, Tua and Miami. I tell you what, the one thing I took away from a lot of the stuff that's happening is teams really, they do not care about their players at all. And I know that, and it's still shocking. Like, all of this is, like, Tua's a significantly good prospect. He could have done a lot better these last few years. And between trying to tank and not trying to tank and whatever was going on there, he's just been slaughtered by it. And unfortunately, while I was just talking to Jeff Bell on the podcast, I think what I have to accept from that is, despite the fact I think Tua could be good and could be better, the team has just tagged him with this situation. I don't think they're in on him. They should be, and I don't think they are. And unfortunately, it might be a Marcus Mariota situation. Like, there could have been more there. and there's struggles. As for OC and what Mike Daniels is as a coach, I really don't know. I don't.
It will be really interesting to me to see what they do in the first round, because that's going to be very telling. Because if they take a quarterback in the first round, obviously Tua's toast. If they don't, not only do I think that this is a nice thing for Tua because you've got stability. What's up?
They don't have their first.
So perfect. Let Tua all the way. So we're good. So no first round pick for the Dolphins. That's right, because they sent it to
Billy.
Yeah. So you're feeling good about Tua with at least having continuity and a team that now has to put themselves in a direction where they need to win. Like they've got an awful lot brewing as an organization, negative, and so they need to head in a positive direction. I think Mike McDaniel, though, for me, will be more interesting to see who they end up with for a running back, because
someone, hopefully
Mike McDaniel is that Shanahan disciple, knows the ins and outs of that running game that has been. I mean, it was Shanahan begat McDaniel. I mean, like, we're at a point now where this offense can put anybody in there at running back and be successful. And so that's the player that I'm interested in, because a lot of your, I don't want to say less sharp, but a lot of your home leagues or a lot of leagues that don't have everybody plugged into Twitter are going to look at Miami and go, Miami running back. But this year, Miami running back.
Myles Gaskin, man, he's pretty.
Maybe.
Listen, I like him, but
Washington.
I would love to believe that. I do not know Mike Daniels. I don't follow coaching trees or coaching tendencies because I don't know nothing about that stuff, and I don't know the man. But I have seen successive coaches who I'm sure are perfectly nice people use the face of a young man trying to make his dream come true just as the chamois, because this isn't the quarterback I drafted. All the problems are just I haven't drafted my own quarterback. Let's throw this guy in the trash as soon as I can. And I worry for Tua. I really do.
But the thing is, Tua's a good quarterback for a Shanahan system. If
he sure is. He's also a really good excuse for the next year where he's chained to him. They don't have a first-round pick, and he's a new coaching hire and a team that's got issues. And it'll just be Tua's a problem.
Can we
wipe that clean?
Can we try and be a little naive and believe that, hey, they're bringing in a good fit for their quarterback as a coach?
Yeah, sure. It's about
like I said, it's all the words that make us feel better. That's what we tell ourselves. Yeah, like that's
and
that's
I
what
love
I'm trying
Tua.
to say.
I honestly think there's potential there.
Like remember Matt Ryan when he was in Shanahan's system? Like how well that worked, and Tua is. I mean, to me, a better version of what Matt Ryan was. So, or could be, we haven't really necessarily seen that, but I do believe that. So to me, this could really work. And if his lack of mobility is just a hip thing that will hopefully get better, that's even better for him. If that's just who he is now, maybe we just write that off a little bit. But like, I think this could be great for Tua, even if they're just showcasing the team for their next quarterback and they just don't re-sign Tua, it'll still be a good 2 years for him. And that's kind of all I care about, because even if Tua has a good 2 years, he's starting for another team right away, even if he's not staying on the Dolphins. And since I'm not a Dolphins fan and I'm just a fantasy football fan, that's what I care about.
I am going to need McDaniels to take his ear pods out.
So many people are so thrown off at that. Like, yes,
I am old. I am Gen X. I am next door to the boomers, and I'm gonna need you to take out your pit. It's like taking your hat off when you go in a restaurant. Like, can we do this?
I don't even get a link tonight. I need to work on this logo to get some respect. Check your DM. I had a change of direction, Peter. Cool. I don't know who gives you the links. I'll be honest with you, Bob. I've been avoiding you for years. People keep giving you the links. I know. Yeah, just hit me up. I'll give you a link. Okay. Nice to talk to you. And Nicholas J. I dated Braxton Miller's ex-girlfriend for a little bit.
Was it because
of the Senior Bowl?
Was it because of his ex? It was his ex-girlfriend. Is that the only reason you dated her?
I was gonna say, did you get any insight there, man? Let's see what else Nicholas J got to say. Thanks, guys. Definitely appreciate the feedback. You're right. Loads of laughs. Probably talking to one of you.
He was talking to me.
Traded Kamara, Logan Thomas, 303, and a 23 first, and a 23 second for and Miles Sanders.
This is one of the better Kamara trades I've seen. They've been bad.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
CEH in a second, a 203, a 23 second, and like some backup running back. Like some bad trades for Kamara.
I think people are afraid of that potential 1 to 5 year felony. That and again, I don't know anything about the case. I don't, but like that is out there in Las Vegas. Like that is one of their.
I mean, well, I've been reading as little as I can, but it's Twitter, so a lot of
back and forth thread. Basically, that's where we're at, as far as I know. We don't know much. There's a video, but we don't know if it's the right video, and he hadn't seen it yet. And
but apparently,
wait and see mode.
Yeah, and Kamara's team just accepting the first court date is usually a good sign for them.
Yeah.
Because they're not trying to push things back to try and pay them off or find a way to get out of something. I mean, clearly this is all conjecture at this point, which honestly, if all you care about is fantasy football, yes, go send some real low ball offers for Kamara. The truth is he's still a 27-year-old running back on a team that doesn't have a head coach has a defensive-minded head coach, no offensive coordinator, and no quarterback. So anyway, but still, like,
he looks like he got in a bar fight and broke the orbital bone, which is basically gave a guy a black eye, which is a bad look, but it isn't overly serious. If he and 8 other guys jumped him and have put him in serious medical injury, because we don't really know the full extent, then it could get serious. But ultimately, that's where I'm at. Like exactly what Russ said. Really truther, yo fellas, if you have a bunch of late 22 firsts across multiple leagues, what you're trying to do with them? Keep trying to send out packages for wide receiver upgrade, but rookie fever is weaker. Yeah, it'll get better closer to the draft as people find out who they really like at that turn. And yeah, that's what I do. I just keep on keeping on. You don't want all of it in the 1 year, but I'd definitely be interested in taking some shots if I can't find a good trade. So.
Yeah, I think that's the nice. No, I think that's the nice thing about this class. The negative part about this class is also the nice part about this class is in the late first, you don't know who's going to be there.
Yeah,
because there's not consensus. I mean, it's good. It's going to be again a lot like, and I keep coming back to 2019, but 2019 was the same way. It was not consensus. People were going out and grabbing JJ Arcega-Whiteside ahead of AJ Brown. Like that happened. I saw it several places. But like that is
I
going
really like
to
JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
Huh?
I really like JJ Arcega-Whiteside.
His touchdown rate was too high, but I did like him a lot. I had him as a late first.
But that'll be the thing that happens. Like you may end up with George Pickens back there. You may end up. You may end up with Drake London back there. You may end up with. I mean, who knows? I mean, probably Garrett Wilson's
George
not going to fall.
David Jameson Williams at this point. David Bell, Chris Olave. I think Garrett Wilson's going to be one of the higher drafted wide receivers, and I'm fine with it.
He should find a team that's not great and send your 2 late firsts for a 23 first and 23 second.
Yeah, that might work too, especially in the draft.
Yeah. Oh, that is absolutely when to do it, because you'll have to wait for. Chances are you'll have to, what these guys were saying, wait to see who's there, and someone will be like, oh man, nobody took Pickens yet? Okay, cool. Yes, let me try and get in there.
Yeah.
But if you can't get players, especially right now, it's going to be a little harder. But if you can, again, move to a better class, even if it is 2 picks for 1, those 2 picks will be worth. Let's pretend you're trading the 110 and the 111. The 110 and 111 of this year will be probably worth less than the 111 next year. So I feel like that's still the right move to do, even though it feels weird.
It does feel weird. Joe, I thought this was just a meme I didn't understand, so I was going to play along. But sheltering sounds
I
like a
think
bad
that's
thing, so I hope it's not.
I think
actually
that's
serious.
YouTube being weird, and I think she put an emoji in.
Yeah. Just checking. Hope everything's okay.
I like shelter and meow.
Yeah, right. Hank J, top 5 receivers based on talent alone in the 2022 draft. He has the 3, the 4, the 6, the 13, and the 203. I drafted Chase last year with the 102. Good job. And he's legit my only wide receiver asset. Yeah, but I think you're doing okay despite it. I actually ranked them. So anyone want to go first? Kind of a thing.
I'll just check my phone for a minute or two.
For me, I got Traylon Burks at 1. I've got George Pickens at 2, although I don't believe you'll have to draft him that highly. I've got Garrett Wilson at 3, but I do believe you will have to draft him that highly. I got David Bell at 4, and right now at 5, it's kind of a amalgamation, a melange, if you will. I got Drake London, Justin Ross, and Jameson Williams all kind of in that same tier. If Jameson Williams gets first-round capital, he immediately vaults up into the top 5, pushing the 2 bigger wide receivers out of there.
Was that your I don't know what to do with him wide receiver, right, Pete? Is that what you were? Whatever, on your last pod, you're like, I have 9 guys to talk about. Well, technically 10, but that 10th guy is I don't know what to do with him.
Yeah, basically. Jameson Williams looks good. He's just got 1 year where he played enough games I can judge it. And it was a good year, but what do you do with that? I don't know yet. Honestly, based on where he's coming from, I think he probably fits in this conversation. But honestly, I have him on rank right now. So Jameson Williams is kind of a hold right now. But I want to see what the NFL makes of it. But his overall stats look good. I just happen to know he's got one of the few clear trap plays that I look for, which is players that look good after having not played enough games. He doesn't look like Terrence Marshall or anything, where there's literally 3 good games and everything else is cut out because of the sample size. But I just want to know a little bit more. We'll see what the combine brings. I'm even interested in that for height and weight measurements. Just give me a sense of what the NFL will make of him. And I don't rank talent, but the ones who clearly compare best to the most talented players in previous drafts: Traylon Burks, George Pickens, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and David Bell for me. I like Drake London, damn it. Everyone keeps telling me I'm low on Drake London, and I thought I liked him, but apparently not having him in that top 5 is just, too cold for the likes of Zach Reed. I thought that was funny. Okay, fine. Not even a hint of a guffaw? Okay, fine. Yeah, I like it.
Look, we're not your yes men, Peter. You got to earn it.
Nicholas J, what league do you think is funny? That's funny to me. Sorry. 1 QB. I'm a man who has very little power. So you give him just a little bit, just a little button click, and suddenly it's hilarious. What leagues do you think? No, you didn't. Do you all think is funnier? A 1 QB 12-team league or a 10-team Superflex? Which is funnier?
I think you're saying which is more fun. And for me, you got to tell me the people in the league, because I'll play either of them. I don't care. I want to play with people that I enjoy playing with, and I'll figure out the league once that happens.
Okay, so
I guess I would say I'd rather a 12-team league than a 10-team league. That matters more to me than Superflex or 1 QB, because it stretches things out a little more, and I think that's a little more helpful and a little funner, to use your actual word.
Well, we have like the at-work league where it's only 10 teams, but we start like 12 or 13 people. So stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So like honestly, it's still, the answer is still Superflex to me, even though there are less teams. It would be a little less fun if you do have still like the standard 9 or 10 starters. Like a 10-team league with 9 starters would probably just bore me. But if you get it to 10 teams with like 11 at least starters, I mean, that's, to me, that would be better than a 12-team 1 QB. Just I've gotten myself to the point where seeing those, especially if you're not in one of those like fancy scoring like SFB did, like Addison created, like Bosch likes to do. If it's like straight up board, like vanilla QB scoring and it's one QB, it's just like, cool. I have Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray on my team, and I have to bench one of them, but can't get more than a second for them in a trade. It's just like,
yeah. Joe, we're not fighting. Russ just infuriates me by how nice he is. That's it. F Neil 04. Thank you for the money. Really appreciate it. Not used to getting money. Appreciate it a lot. Would you give Edmonds and Penny for a 23 first? Yes.
It's probably not enough.
It should not be enough, but if you can get it, go get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's probably not enough. Both of those players, Penny especially, is probably more a points player at this point. But yeah, I think we all agree we'd definitely do that deal if it came along. I don't know what to do with the money donations. It feels so nice. So I'm just skipping to them for a second. Sorry, everyone.
Well, it's nice because it clears that the top of the chat for me.
It's all in the way.
Yeah, just clear that out. And
Scott McCoy, should I trade CMC and Michael Thomas for Swift or Leonard Fournette and Higgins? That's a tighter question.
Yes.
Or pass on both trades, single
wait.
12 teams.
Okay, no, hold on. I read that wrong. Trade CMC and Michael Thomas for Swift.
Full stop. Or
Leonard Fournette and Higgins.
Higgins. I'd take the Higgins side.
Yeah, the thing that kind of sucks is
I like Michael Thomas and CMC a lot, but
I love Higgins, and I am of the firm belief that no matter which team Fournette goes to, I think he's done well enough for the past year and change where he'll get a contract that leads to him getting played. But like if CMC walks in and a CNC for 10 out of 17 games, that's
Hold on, Russ.
I'm all in on Michael Thomas and CMC. But
there are two trades for Swift. It's either CMC and Michael Thomas for Swift or Leonard Fournette and Higgins for Swift. So
I told Peter
clearly asked.
That's okay. I'd probably pass on both of those for Swift, even though he is going to be pretty close to RB1, RB2 in terms of value this year. I would rather have the other. Probably the closer one is CMC and Michael Thomas for Swift. But
you'll be fine with the points of Fournette and Higgins, even though Fournette will never get trade value again. Right. I think points wise and importance to your team, I would just hang on to Fournette and Higgins,
and especially when you go half point PPR, I think that knocks the value of Swift down a little bit.
Yeah, that is also very true.
Yeah, No, I don't accept these. I want CMC or Michael Thomas, and I want Higgins. No, just outright. I like Swift, but he's not one of those running backs. He's young enough. He's good enough. He's going to be productive enough, and I don't want enough for those level of CMC and Michael Thomas as points players are just unbelievable, and Higgins' value is through the roof right now.
Do we have any more of those guys at the running back position?
I have two.
Is Jonathan Taylor the ceiling? Because Jonathan Taylor wasn't Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara.
Dynasty with value involved, it's Jonathan Taylor. And I wouldn't mind putting Najee Harris in there.
I meant more like straight points because
the difference.
To me, there's no one like CMC in straight points. No one.
Because that's the thing to me. Like my question is going to be: does the idea of running back value take a hit in general? Because we're not going to have guys that score points like that anymore.
It will, but then in 2 more years, once you get the 23 class and the 24 class, the running back value will come back. It's very cyclical. It's a pendulum. It goes back and forth.
I was literally doing this on stream yesterday, and I was posting there's just these straight lines of production. It's not so much the age and running back matters. It's you can just clearly see these classes getting older, and the players, like the average age of the players in the top 12, just take a clear line from that draft class to when they stop playing. And then it goes to another draft class to when they stop playing. Like it's over and over since 2000. And we're going to have older running backs in the top 12 for at least another year. And then a new class will come out.
I think that's another reason to be really wary of this particular 2022 class, because not only is it a down class, but you also have a fairly good free agent class and a bunch of incumbent running backs who are very good. We're not going to see 4 or 5 running backs break into a starting role this year. There's not enough room.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And it's not like there aren't good players from other classes. Like, obviously, Cam Akers has been pretty decent. J.K. Dobbins is going to do stuff. Jonathan Taylor was literally drafted very recently and is one of those guys along with Najee Harris. But, yeah, that's the trend to pay attention to at running back. If CMC can stay healthy, I don't think you can find a single person who will honestly tell you that knows shit about this game that he is not the highest scoring player. If you guarantee them 14 games. The question is he? And it's a real legitimate concern. But yeah, that's if it's straight up points players, that's what it is. Where were we? Joannis was telling us to stop fighting. I was refusing. Sorry, Joe was telling us to stop refusing. Nicholas J, since I got Kirk and Kyler, and need young wide receivers for rebuild, should I send a second for Ronda? If you can get Ronda Moore for a second, you do it.
Yeah, but not because you have Kirk and Kyle.
It's got nothing to do with it.
Don't let that affect your decision.
Yeah, absolutely. The stack doesn't matter. Like, you hear a lot of people talk stacks, but it's because they're playing either DFS or they're playing best ball, or they're playing a big portfolio, and that variance gives them a little extra occasionally. But in your single league, that stack doesn't really do anything. And I've seen arguments by very smart people. Hayden Winks is one who says variance really doesn't matter anyway. Like, in terms of stacking,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, stacking makes perfect logical sense, but it's one of the things that makes perfect logical sense at volume that has no proof to it. Like, no one's done a study to show that if you stack at volume in best ball, you win more often. Right. Which is where
good players usually win more often.
It makes sense, but there's no real reason to believe it even helps. Except for that logical sense, which is fine. But it's not one of these accepted
on a different team.
Accepted ways to win. I mean, yeah, lots of people do it and they win, but just throwing that out there. And I've seen like heavy best ball players point that out. Like, at some point, with stacking being like something I know about, just a gunny down here, playing Dynasty, and I know what stacking is. They're like, actually, there's more edge just not stacking at this point, because there are too many of us amateurs getting in there trying it, and there's no real reason to believe it provides a heavy edge. But you do you. Hank J, 16 team single QB, by the way. Did we miss Hank's question?
No, we got it. That was we went down through the receivers.
That didn't affect it for me. So 16 team, it's a fun situation, but it doesn't affect it. Derpson. That's funny. Middle of the pack team, 10 team, 2 QB, traded Kamara, Logan. We did this one, right?
We did this already, yeah.
Yeah. If you're middle of the pack, you're doing stuff. Change the team. Which veterans are you most nervous about in 2022? Yeah, that always sounds wrong to me, by the way. 2022. It sounds like I'm saying 20 too many times. 2020, 22
as well.
You know what I mean? 2020 as well, yeah. Kenny Golladay or Allen Robinson? Equally concerned. More concerned about Kenny Golladay.
No, but like, is there any guys that you see like just going off the cliff that were doing decently at least, or did really well? Like, do you think like Tyreek Hill is now old and is going to be bad? Like, Allen Robinson was great in the 2020 season.
Oh, ones like that. No, I tend to go off the cliff with these guys, to be honest. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't count. There's already concern. Michael Thomas is already concerned. So it's Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams.
That's what I was going to say, and that's purely situational. It has nothing to do with the player himself. It's just that he's a free agent. That's probably they're talking about tagging him already. Who knows who the quarterback is going to be there? So like that's not even really on him. But also, I just think he's too damn talented that it doesn't matter. So
it's not a great signal. for what type of player goes off a cliff when. The cliff does happen, but it's different for every player. It's not like you can look at efficiency, or you can look at the one that I hear most often is the one that's most athleticism dependent. But honestly, no,
But
that's
also,
kind of hit or miss too. That's why I tend to go over the cliff with all of them. It's like you don't know it's coming, and that's
it's like
what happens.
off the couch, Deshaun Jackson could probably beat 4/5 of the NFL in a foot race.
That's what I was going to say. Like,
Lineman not
utterly
included.
convinced that's what happened to AJ Green, right? And then on the Cardinals last year, he friggin' amazing on a per attempt basis. Like, the talent's still there, maybe at lesser volume.
But it's also the fact that, like, AJ Green his last year on the Bengals, Allen Robinson this past year, they checked out on their teams. I mean, will they admit it? Probably not. But AJ Green was fighting with the Bengals the entire season. Allen Robinson didn't want to go back to Chicago, and they tagged him. Like,
I think it's actually honestly fair, since there is no clear signal.
Yeah, like I wouldn't
to
be
say
surprised if
veterans who have no reason to invest unless they like their situation or they like their they've done what they need to do in this league. You know, AJ Green's had an amazing career, and if he doesn't feel great about the team, maybe they give up a little more. Honestly, that's just as trustworthy as anything else. Maybe Adams, I guess. Like
AJ Green leaves the Bengals and they go to the Super Bowl. Just saying.
But all of these guys are mostly adjusted for value. So the ones I'd be most concerned about are the ones that's still in the top 12. And that's Adams. That's Tyreek Hill.
That's all that's left of old guys in the top 12 at this point.
I have another guy. Stefan Diggs.
Yeah, well, he's not. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Jalen Waddle, Deebo Samuel.
The old guy.
Yeah.
Is the other old guy.
Cooper Kupp is the young guy. Yeah, Cooper Kupp's the other guy. Yeah. So I think
T. Higgins, Deante Johnson, Diggs is 13, wide receiver 13, and then
so I think
you get down to 18 at Keenan Allen, and he's going to play forever anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, for sure. No, I actually believe that.
He's going to be Fitzgerald and play till he's in his mid-late 30s because there's no reason he can't.
To me, the players that I would be most worried about are the guys who are vertical separators more than like Mike Williams, Pittman, and these aren't quite in the same like range as Allen Robinson was, pre last year, and the other one, and I'm not worried about him. But it's going to be an interesting situation to see him transition to have if Godwin goes, if Mike Evans with a new quarterback, with a new team around him, things start to crumble. That'll be interesting. But can you really bet against him? I mean, he's had what 12 or 8 straight seasons of 1,000 yards now. Like
he did it before Godwin was there anyway. And by the way. I saw Chris Godwin's name a second ago, and I almost slapped myself. How are we talking about Penn State pass catchers and we forgot to name Chris Godwin?
Oh no, I just didn't name Penn State. I just said Penn State pass catchers.
I was trying to, and
Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin. Yeah. They were there.
I forgot Chris Godwin's name, and I feel bad about it. I'm sorry, Chris.
I think Godwin's probably someone on my list, but he's not in the top 12.
No.
We were just older wide receivers, I'm concerned.
Veteran wide receivers, not necessarily top 12.
Okay, yeah, Chris Godwin. I put him on I'd trade him for his value right now. It always seems. I thought he was in the top 12 still last time I looked, and I'm like, nah, sell for that.
15 in January.
All right. Bob Nixon, Will Fuller on the waiver wire. How much fab is he worth? $6. Does it reset before the season? And how much is it percentage wise? Whatever. There's normally not a lot of great pickups before the season starts, so yeah.
I would say if you look at your bottom part of your roster and there's nobody better than Will Fuller, then spend some fab. Like it's fine, whatever.
Got a percentage, 50%
would be someone else's problem.
No, I'm not spending 50%, especially if the fab's already rolled over for this year. It's not a very high percentage.
If it's going to reset, then just throw
it.
FF Lefty, I don't know. It feels like we're just craving something, anything in this. I don't know why I'm doing the voice. It just feels like
I liked it.
It was the exclamation point. I got it.
in this point in the off season, that Christian Watson is a trending topic on Dynasty. That's exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
He'll be good.
1,000%.
Exactly.
But that's this whole class. Like you can't, like, I can't go into a show and say Traylon Burks, Breece Hall. All right, subscribe to the Dynasty Dummies podcast. Thank you for listening. Peace. I can't do that. Like, that's not going to make a good show. So you got to talk about Christian Watson at some point.
We're at that point where we know there's 9. So if we just keep naming players, there'll be a clip we can say, obviously I knew this was coming.
It'll be a good victory lap. Yeah.
Considering moving Justin Jefferson and Josh Allen for Watson, DJ, Saquon. No.
Who's DJ?
Moore.
Moore.
Daniel Jones.
DJ Moore.
I'd rather have DJ Moore. If it's Daniel Jones,
the answer is no. Justin, no. You should be able to get whatever you want for Justin Jefferson and Josh Allen. And to me, that is not a guy who might not be playing in the NFL next year. A guy I don't know who they are. And I love Saquon, but you don't need to be spending all of that to get Saquon right now.
This reminds me of that trade I'm constantly bringing up where I traded Patrick Mahomes and I got what I could because I knew it was a good sell window and I made myself believe in the players in the Saquon's a value. You think Watson's going to play again. DJ Moore's top 12, even if he doesn't have touchdowns. But you're talking yourself into it, and you really shouldn't have to.
Well, and don't, especially where the last sentence is, I presently have a sad running back situation with AJ Dillon, Ramondre Stevenson, and Harris. Like, don't talk yourself into it because you're in February, your running backs are not good. Because
honestly, dude, you've got Josh Allen. You've got the best running back, the highest scoring running back in fantasy.
And you don't know what's going to go on with the Packers. If A.J. Dillon is their starting running back, that's fine.
Seems like he's going to be.
Yeah, like that's fine. Like you will be okay. So do not hamstring yourself by trading the two of the best two of the top 4 picks in a super flex startup. Don't trade them for 5 nickels. Like
you don't have to set a lineup for probably a good 7 months. Don't worry about position. All you need to do for the next 6 to 7 months is accrue as much value on your roster as possible. Then when it gets closer to the season, then you use that value to buy good players at the positions you need. Like most of my teams will look like that running back, except honestly, I won't even have AJ Dillon. I will be stuck with Ramondre, and I'm guessing that's Damian Harris because I wouldn't be sad if it was Najee. So, that's most of what my running back rooms look like because the second I can get value for a running back in a non-point scoring season, I'm doing it because running back is still I get a lot of it's narrative based, a lot of it's anecdotal. But running backs get hurt a lot. Running back situations change more easily than anyone else's. And running backs are affected more by other changes on the offense with linemen, quarterbacks, coordinators. Like that changes so much for running backs that investing in something now could mean absolutely different things in 5 months. And yes, obviously all of that stuff affects every position. But to me, it's running back more so. And again, it's just what I've seen playing fantasy for so long. But you never, ever make a trade based on lineups in February. It's just
this is one of those trades where it helps to cut it up and see. Sorry,
would you trade Josh Allen for? I mean, let's pretend it's DJ Moore for Deshaun Watson, DJ Moore, Saquon. Okay, that is a lot of pieces just to trade for just Josh Allen, but. To me, it's just okay.
That's literally what I was going to say. Josh Allen for DJ and Saquon. That's not close. And then Jefferson for Watson, a first and 2 seconds. That's not close. And when you start cutting it up, you can see how you're having to talk yourself into it. That's the way I looked at it. If it helps you, if you're like, no, Saquon's, if you feel it's your team, but you just know you're giving up 2 players that really should get you whatever you want.
Yes.
What's the first slot position?
I think she was talking to the person we just answered.
Okay. That's fair. Dang, I really ask dumb questions sometimes. With you, Joe.
We give dumb answers, so it works out.
Same. John Frey would give me a 23rd, 23 first pound pick though. Like,
Yeah, but
that doesn't matter. What you have shouldn't affect the trade you're looking at.
Absolutely.
No matter what. I mean, I hate that in the trade message. You don't need this because you have. Well, I have this because I'm doing better than you. So maybe I don't take advice from you.
We did that one
That's
already.
kind of
Peter. We're gonna have to go further down. FFT.
No, we got Joe right here. Be honest. Do you like winning or building teams? I don't win. I hate building teams.
I like winning with the teams I build.
Oh, cake and eat it, baby.
That's right.
John Frey. I also have Moore, Smith, Hollywood, Bateman, Sutton, OBJ. That seems good to me as the wide receiver room. All right. It's my second dynasty year. Would love to win. I'd love to win for you. I don't see anything I can tell you. Like, just do this and you'll win. Honestly, your team doesn't look too bad.
Whatever you're doing it right. So just keep going.
If you've got Jefferson, Josh Allen, and this is your wide receiver core, dude, yeah, you can win.
So go and package Bateman and Sutton and go get a better running back in 5 months. Again, you don't have to do it now. It's not a good move to do it now. Yeah. But you have enough ammo already, especially if you say you already have 2 firsts in 23. You have more than enough ammo to go get a running back when you need it. Not to mention, you still have a bunch of months to make a move. So absolutely don't do a move to do it.
You say this is your first dynasty year. What I tell you is you've got enough value on your squad. You sound like you've played redraft. Like, you're good. You're set up. You're not giving away the game in dynasty. Like, you've got a good team. You've got more than enough value there. You know what to do. You know. And
I think the tendency is to, especially when you first start playing dynasty, is to be really reactionary with, like, I've got to trade all these players now, or I've got to rebuild. Like, relax, especially right now.
Do you remember your first offseason, Zach?
Oh, dude, it was so the first team I had, it was a little bit constrained with the bench. I dropped Mike Evans. I dropped Mike Evans and I traded Travis Kelce for next to nothing because I wanted to make a move and get a running back. And like
Diggs for Jay Ajayi.
Yeah, but you get better, you start to learn. And so, like, I think that's the thing, John, that if you're here, you're already ahead of the curve where I was, because I wasn't in chats asking questions. I was just starting to listen to podcasts and just starting to pick up. So, like, if you're here, like, you're already on your way to, I would love to win. You're already on your way to that. But, like, your team is good. Don't panic right now with it.
And always bring a towel.
Traded Alshon Jeffrey for David Johnson and 2 firsts. Yeah, that's I killed great. That.
Yeah, you got it. You're Peter. You need to go back there.
I found the one.
You need to find your Zen
left on the planet, and I was like,
I traded Michael Floyd and a 3rd for David Johnson and a 2nd. Because Larry Johnson was going to retire and Michael Floyd was going to walk right into that role, baby.
I remember targeting Michael Floyd pretty hard.
I was such a fan of Michael Floyd. Oh man, but I'm so glad I made that trade. That won me the championship.
I remember reading about Andy Reid talking about Michael Floyd making a good play and how he's always saying he can do stuff. But this one time he did it and getting so mad because Andy Reid didn't understand Michael Floyd was good. Sorry. Joanna Sanchez, Watson, Saquon, and DJ are on massive risks with upside. Yeah, she's saying the same thing we did, but better. As per usual. Thank you, Joe. John Frey, I'm at the 110 this year. I can't imagine any rookie running back that will make a difference this year. At the 110, you'll be hard pressed to say you're going to find one. There's probably one in the second round. Fuck,
trade down and go get.
But we don't know who it is.
What is it? Kyran Williams? Is that
Kyran Williams? Yeah, I mean,
I
take the best player there.
Yeah.
Take the best player there, trade it for a running back.
But again, you don't have to draft a running back there necessarily. If you got the 110 and maybe at that point on the clock, you can entice somebody to trade you a running back. It doesn't have to be a running back 1 because you have 3 wide receiver ones. Get an RB2 and pair him with AJ Dillon and be fine.
That is a weird thing about Dynasty. You can just forget I need running back in a rookie draft. Rookie draft position do not matter. Like get
Draft
the
for
best player
talent, trade
and you
for
can
need.
trade for need. But what Russ always says. The 23 first doesn't offset. No, not even close. Justin Ross is a huge value. I think he's really interesting. Yeah. I've got him ranked 9th. I think he was my 9th ranked wide receiver. And that's, I broke it all down. That's a positive rank. Okay. I swear.
He's
I swear it's a positive rank.
Hashtag
five
receiver,
6,
baby.
5'6" for me. And I do not.
You have no idea what kind of work
wide
you have to do
receivers,
to understand why his production good. Good. Okay. Like you don't get it. Like data guys are going to hate him. They're going to hate that I have him 9th. Well, some data guys. It's going to be a difficult profile for a few reasons. To start with, he began his career at age 18 playing with T. Higgins, who is now confirmed good in the NFL, but followed a very strong rookie year. He began to suffer from a medical condition that resulted in him missing his third and returning the season. Strange 2021 season, a pandemic. And you have to do a lot of reading, but it's there. That rookie year with T. Higgins on the depth chart with what he did. Yeah,
he did really well.
Really, really interesting.
Yeah.
If the NFL doesn't notice, 9th is going to look high, and that's going to be great for me. Russ Fisher.
Yeah, draft capital will be a lot for Justin Ross.
Building teams is so much fun. You got to win in a league or two to fund the 6 leagues you're real building in. Russ seems to have a problem. He's a little bit of an addict. John Frey, unless I tank and then sweep the 23 first round.
Do that. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
within the limits of your league's rules. Yes, do that.
But you're not going to tank. You're not going to tank.
I think
team.
Oh wait, no, your team's
Jefferson
too good.
and
No,
I think
never mind. I forgot
both.
who was on your team. You can't do that. Don't do that.
Keep fighting, but keep looking for the 23 first round capital. You can actually do both. Dynasty is a weird and wacky place.
Especially when
you're building your team great. There's just a few other things you can do in Dynasty.
You know what you do? You know what you do? Pick one team that's really one of the teams you have there first. Find one of them that's the worst team and trade them more picks. Trade them another first for one of their players, so their team gets worse, and that makes the pick you have of theirs better.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I mean, no, I'm a nice guy. I would never do that.
You've done that to so many first-year Dynasty players. I can tell. I can hear it in your voice. You're like, I screwed that guy so hard. He quit the league.
Okay, I have your first. Here, go.
Trying to Sanchez, my point is, you don't have to take on that risk because you have Allen and JJ. Yeah. Again, more succinct and better said than we did. Get on the podcast. Right?
Yes.
John Frey, even with a shallow running back roster.
Yes.
This is what happens when we are 20, 30 minutes behind. We have Joe giving the answers, and then we're just like, oh, never mind. Back.
Can I go real quick with John?
She's on the money. She's not lying to you, dude.
So I was in a couple of championships this year, and my running back rooms were Kenyon Drake, Chris Evans, Kenny Gainwell, Niguanu, Chuba Hubbard, Jordan Howard, Jamar Jefferson, Boston Scott, James White on one team, and then another team I think my best running back was J.D. McKissick, although James Conner did do well toward the end of the year. But like, you don't need to be loaded at running back to be actually loaded at running back.
You just need to find the right guy at the right time.
It's the beautiful part about this game is get your young wide receivers running back, you'll figure out.
And even when I'm thinking about running back, I'm trying to do something with my running back 1. Running back 2 should be and normally is the weakest spot on my roster, and I do not care.
Also, petition your league to only have to start running back and add an extra flex instead.
For sure. Try something else, but don't make that trade. Yeah. I thank God Joe's in the comments answering questions before we get to them. I'm keeping MT and CMC. I would too. I think
we're all there.
I think the point. I really do think the points are going to be there. Even if you want to trade them, do it in season. But I'm not scared of age. Cliff diving. Join us. How many wide receivers must you? Okay, she's
still talking.
We got to catch up before Joe takes all our viewers.
We need like a 4th box, so we just have Joe in here.
Yeah.
No problem, Scott. Would you give it the 207 and the 23 first for Dobbins? Ooh, 2 first for Dobbins. Where you at?
I would not, but that I am a little bit lower than consensus on Dobbins.
I think he's solid. I think no.
I love Dobbins. I really, really do. But
I think he's a. Can I get away with the word baller? I think he's really, really good, and I think he's going to be fun to watch, and I think he's awesome. And that's not a question.
It's
in
not
my
enough
head.
for fantasy. He was my favorite running back of that class. Clearly, I knew from the beginning that Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift would probably translate better into the NFL. But if Dobbins landed on that team, that was just like if he landed on the Steelers, and they were just like, Dobbins go, that would have been gold. Well, pun unintended with Steelers being black and gold. But the fact that he landed on the Ravens does kind of suck a little bit. You're hoping mostly for touchdown upside because while it does
for him, if you want to root for the player, the player's on a great team. He's going to have a good career, I think. But yeah,
I completely agree. But man, if we're talking 2 firsts, if you could tell me it's the 107 and the 110, I'd be more likely to do it than a 107 and a 23 first, just because depending where that is, there's a chance you get someone just as good or better with that 23 first. And that hurts me to say.
Would you trade the 1.101, the 108, 201 for AJ Brown? Yes.
Yes.
I would.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't
matter. And a first. And
look at this. Then you've got Jefferson, Chase, AJ Brown, and Lamb.
Yes. You have Jefferson, Chase, Lamb.
You would literally have the top 4 wide receivers in DLF ADP.
Yeah. Do it.
Do it just to say you have them. That's insane. Yes, 1,000%. We're sorry it took us this long to get to this question. We should have answered it faster just so you can go and do it now.
Your league's going to kick you out next year. You know that, right?
Yes,
you're going to be winning just with your 4 wide receivers. Some weeks you're not going to start anyone else. You're just going to be like, and you'll win, and they'll be like, we got to kick this guy out of the league. We got to kick him out.
I'd petition to be kicked out in 2024 because I want to make that 23 first, though. I want to make
hey, I paid for this year. Come on. Patrick, Dynasty League I joined includes defenses. Defenses? Yeah, that's how you say that word. Which of these would you consider the 5 best? I'd struggle. I don't play in DST leagues so much anymore that I don't have a strong opinion.
Buffalo is always a safe bet. I will say that. Denver is usually above average. This is just what I know from redraft, not from Dynasty, because I've never played in a Dynasty with defenses. But from season to season, Buffalo is usually up top. Tennessee they're pretty. The issue Denver is usually above average. KC has their moments, but then they have their moments where they stop playing defense. Chargers are usually pretty good. Do not go near Seattle anytime soon. Washington always looks good on paper, but never really performs that well. Chicago, depending on the year, God, no, not Detroit or Green Bay or Minnesota.
This is actually a really interesting area. I don't have a go-to player, someone I know that does DST ranks for Dynasty, and I'm just looking at 4 for 4, which is usually where I go for DST ranks because they do DST ranks and they're a very good site. They don't have Dynasty DST ranks. So, Patrick, here's my advice. Do Dynasty DST ranks.
There you go, man. You just found your niche.
You just found something that's actually, I have no resource to help you out with this.
Well, it's also because it's usually not sticky from year to year. So it's
very difficult. But if you're an IDP player or you pay attention to it, you could find Linda Lyons is popping off just because she cares about kicker this year. And so she took it serious. And she's doing Dynasty kicker content,
good at it.
And we all love it.
Because and the second you say kicker, so Linda,
Linda. Yeah, because she took it serious. I mean, she's funny with it, obviously, but I mean, this is honestly, I'm serious about that. Sorry, Patrick, I got nothing because it is what I do know is it's inconsistent year to year. The value in Dynasty should typically be low because of that reason. But I've got nothing. 4 for 4 DLF. Any of the sites I can go to, RotoViz, they got nothing on this.
As a Seahawks fan, I would tell you just don't go near Seattle.
Yeah, but it's basically go get Buffalo. Green Bay's fine. Tennessee's fine. Most of the rest of them are not going to give you much of an advantage, and you're going to be streaming week to week anyway.
Yeah, go grab 2 and then
Yeah.
pick the best matchup. It might not even really matter who they are.
Can I give you a rough idea of where I might slot the 5 defenses among the top 300 Dynasty players? Real low. There's like 2.
Yeah.
Typically,
They should
I
really
remember there's
be
like 2
Your
that
last
maybe.
few picks. I
Yeah.
would not only fill my starting lineup, I would probably fill my next 2 lineups worth of players before taking a defense. You can't get me to care because the differential in points is just not big enough.
And once the season starts, you can probably. I remember normally finding a good defense, even in Dynasty, as an easy trade target because people will trade them for second and thirds. Like I wouldn't. I like the fact that you're stressing over it, but I have nothing to help you stress over it any harder.
And Russ, you made a good point that it's not, Patrick, when you look at defenses, it's not defenses versus what defense is scoring versus what the players, the position players are scoring, but it's what defenses are scoring compared to other defenses. And that's where you're either going to gain an advantage if you have a good defense, or most of it's a lot like tight end, I think, although with less clarity at the top. So once you get past like the top 3 or 4 or 5 defenses, you're just pick one.
Find your way to get the Patriots and move on.
Best I've got Tom Kisslingberry, DLF contributor. He knows more about IDP. I'm guessing he would know more about DST ranks, just because he's so knowledgeable about IDP in general. So yeah, sorry. Cody Hutchins, son. What is Dak and Superflex trade value? Lower than it should be. I have him as top 5 quarterback.
They are people are weirdly low on the Cowboys offense because they didn't finish strong.
Yeah, he's a value right now. He's like discount Joe Burrow.
That's a strange grouping of words. But he's good. I mean, he's QB 8 right now. Like, I can't imagine putting him below Jalen Hurts. No. Okay, here's a January
top 5
QBs: Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Kyler, Lamar, Burrow, Hurts, Prescott. Like, that sounds pretty right. Besides Hurts, I think Hurts should be below Prescott. Then it gets weird with Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. Like, that seems like a weird grouping of, like, how is Trey Lance QB 9? That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I mean,
it's because
we're already there.
Everybody thinks that he's there to the moon.
Don't get me wrong. I actually like him. I think he's very good, but it's.
I mean, predicting and then saying sell. I'm just saying, if it works out, I'm going to look like a fucking genius.
But
not really.
What would I mean? Dak's worth more than the Superflex 101. I will say that without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Would I trade?
He's worth 3 first-round picks.
Because I was about to say, would I trade him for the 101? This year is rough because the answer is just going to end up being no, because you're not getting a quarterback that I think will come close to filling his.
Not close.
You don't even need to fill his shoes because you're getting more than one piece. But yeah, definitely worth at least 2 to 3 firsts. And if I'm doing it, I need to get a player back as well, and it's got to be a good replacement. But now might not be the time, just because I don't understand why people just got so sour on that offense.
Well, I mean, he didn't run the way
Jalen Hurts plus a pick, maybe 2. Yeah.
Oh, give me Jalen Hurts in a first, and I'll do it. I'll sell Dak for that, just because I do feel a little safer about Hurts's starting position for at least next year. So,
okay. Local liability. That's cool. I think I asked this before, but forgot. Do any of you all delve into IDP?
That's Kisslingberry again.
Tom Kisslingberry. It's just like he must get so many messages. Like Zach told me to come over here. Russ told me to come over here. He said, "God damn it, I'm busy." But
their podcast is the Read and React podcast. Read and React on the DLF Family podcast. But I think they only do in season, so I don't know if they're pumping anything out right now. Which I feel like I should be the director of podcast, but I've been busy now.
He's active on Twitter, and he's he's a very nice man. He's working 8 hours behind you, so there's a time difference. But hit him up, follow him. He's great.
But and he's got a Patreon page too.
I don't play in a single IDP league, and I find myself reading his threads anyway because they're just super interesting to me.
I'm a fake data nerd. I love the way Tom records and uses stats. It's simple, it's clean. He's just really good at fantasy, even though he's heavy into but he's great. Don't tell him I said that. Tell him I said fuck you or something.
Yeah, we have to start an artificial rivalry just because they're the two Brits in here.
No, just because I don't want anyone to know I like them. But yeah, sure. Jackson P. I traded away Cup and Debo in my first offseason last year.
That's a little rough.
Yeah,
that's rough.
But you live and you learn.
I can make you feel better. I traded Tyreek Hill after his rookie season because I was like, I'm getting out on this ride.
That's one of my
biggest. In the fourth
biggest.
round in the rookie draft. I traded for less than.
That was one of my biggest wrong
value. It was like
I
a
was
second
so wrong
player.
about Tyreek Hill.
But Jackson, like
Philip Dorsett back.
That's absolutely what we were talking about is, you have to make a couple of, like, you hear people talk or you read a couple of Dynasty articles and you're like, I can do this. And then all of a sudden you get in, you're like, oh, I'm going to make this trade. I'm going to trade Cooper Kupp because he's been okay, but we think Robert Woods is going to be the guy, and Debo was a running back last year, and so he's Ayuk is going to take control of that, and so I'm going to get 2 firsts, and this is going to be great. And then you look back a year from that trade,
dang it,
and you traded 2 top 12 startup picks for for
Jackson. What we're telling you is this isn't even the worst. This isn't even the worst clunker in their first year in this room.
Oh, so no, not even
just to make you feel better. We did a lot worse.
You're in good company, and again, because you're here,
learn from it.
You're going to get better because you're interested in getting better. You're listening to podcasts. You're in the comment section of this. I assume you're on Twitter. That's how you get better.
Well, I will say a few things. Absolutely everything they just said, just because we've all done, we talked a few minutes ago. At this point, time has no meaning. It could have been an hour ago and I don't know, but like about the terrible trades we made, especially trading away wide receivers for running backs right as the season ended. But the real moral of the story is never look back. Never do your best to forget every trade you've ever made the second after you make it, because it doesn't matter if it's good or it's bad. You'll still feel weird about it looking back, whether it's in a good way or a bad way. And chances are most trades will be neutral or bad. Very rarely do you trade Michael Floyd for David Johnson the year before he breaks out like a crazy man. Like that doesn't happen very often. So like seriously, don't worry about it. And sorry, go ahead.
I look back at everything, so that makes sense. Like, I can't help it.
Like Trader Joe does every year. He goes back and looks at every trade he made during the season, even plots out the draft picks they turned into. And I'm like, why do you do this to yourself, Joe? That's terrible. No, what?
Proof. I want to get better. Also, I like pain, I guess. Scott McCoy, how did I do? I traded Claypool for a 2023 first, and no offense, you did great.
Brilliant.
Also traded Henry for CMC and a 2023 first.
Also win.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Good move, man. Good moves, man.
That's beautiful, honestly. It's a 23 first, enough for Zach Wilson and Superflex. Right now, it might be.
One for him.
You wouldn't give. Jesus. You're just out.
Will it get him? Probably not, but that's honestly to me what his value is. His value is pretty low. He did start to do okay at the end of last year, but man, I don't know if I'm giving up draft capital for Zach Wilson at this point.
I'm out, and even I think that's within the tolerance of range of outcomes.
1,000%. It really is. Just why bother doing it if you don't like the guy? If you believe in Zach Wilson, 1,000%, go send a first for him.
Is it enough to offer? No, they're gonna reject that and think, God, Cody's a dick.
But honestly, you'll feel better. You'll be better off.
I almost just lost that water.
Zach's got 20 minutes, by the way. That's why I'm a little speedy. But Cody, I don't mean I think that. I mean I've sent those offers, and that's what people think of me.
He thinks that.
on. Russ. Come on. Wesley, I traded away CD Lamb. I'm sorry. At 23 first and a second for Jamar Chase. Okay, I'm not that sorry. And a second and a third yesterday. Thoughts? I think you're bragging, and I like it. I like the energy.
I traded. Oh, you even got stuff back with it. I traded CD Lamb, Dawson Knox, and Cortland Sutton for Jamar Chase. And I feel like that's almost along the lines of what you did, maybe a little less, but I also didn't get anything else back besides Chase. So I think you did great.
Hey, giving up. Maybe I should quit.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I read recently it's not good for you. I know it's not science or anything, but, you know.
I honestly thought I muted myself.
No, we're just waiting. We are watching you with the dead air with you coughing just so it makes more of an impact. The NFL seems to be sliding away from what has historically been an alpha bot. Yes, they absolutely are sliding away from alpha wide receivers. Any thoughts on fading those big receivers in rookie drafts?
I have been fading them for years, and the only one that has burned me, recently is T. Higgins. And the thing that T. Higgins did that some of these other big body traditional alpha wide receivers don't do is make plays on the sideline, back shoulder, better than
body control is
better than anybody. And that was the one thing that I really should have paid more attention to with Higgins, because it wasn't all vertical separation.
What about AJ Brown?
No, AJ Brown was great. AJ Brown separated against zone. AJ Brown separated against man. He was not a big body vertical guy. He was a big body slot receiver, creating separation.
He was also great.
So it's not just
zone, which is why I wanted him. I wanted AJ Brown in Seattle because to me he was the perfect Doug Baldwin replacement.
Yeah.
Of course they went with DK and it just changed directions completely. But sorry, go. Yeah.
No. And like this, Joe, this is why I have been paying attention a lot more to being able to create separation against zone, because not only has the NFL gone away from the big body wide receiver right now, defenses have gotten smaller to combat that. And so they're playing a lot of nickel, a lot of dime. They're playing some junk coverage. So you'll have like man on the outside and then a zone in the middle. So somebody who can slide into the slot and beat a zone and understand how to get by coverage is really valuable. Now, eventually, and we talk about the pendulum, it's going to come back to those big body wide receivers, but we're not there yet.
Keep your eyes on when Bill Belichick drafts one.
It's a long-ass pendulum. I've been playing Dynasty since 2013. I have yet to be it. Like, the more excited people are to explain height, weight, BMI, the less likely I am to draft them. And it's been working since 2013. That pendulum is a long-ass one. It's going to take a while.
And I think
it's a long-ass swing.
The game has changed an awful lot, partially because of the feeder system now. So the feeder system used to be, 11 on 11 high school football to college football, with a lot of the big stationary quarterbacks and a lot of big wide receivers who would go up and get it. It's changed to 7 on 7, which really features being quick and creating separation. And it also gives quarterbacks a bigger window to throw the ball to. So once they start transitioning up and up and up, they're needing to see a little bit more separation before they throw it, which is why it was so frustrating watching Dak Prescott not be able to find Des Bryant. It's why it's so frustrating to watch somebody like Mike Williams not be able to get open. Even though Justin Herbert has that great big arm, he still uses that great big arm when people are open. And so that's, I think, what you're seeing. And again, why absolutely, Joe, fading some of the not necessarily bigger wide receivers because they're bigger, but because of how they play.
Yes. It works. Half the ranks I find these days work. Like, all the work they put into them is legitimate, but then you look at it and basically they've ranked them by BMI or height. That's almost identical. And the trouble I have is when to like an athletic big player. Like, I want to be able to know that DK Metcalf is built different, while still just fading everyone else. And I haven't found a way to include him back in yet. because
I
you
have
just hit. With
almost
finding
no
arm.
one who came in saying they like DK Metcalf will say they like him why he's doing great now. Because we never saw this in college.
Sorry. I had a co-host who literally went to the mattresses against
Okay, yeah.
everyone.
Jake is definitely not that. Jake doesn't count. Yes, Jake
he
may
hit that
have
out the
been
damn park.
DK Metcalf's PR man. That might
Yeah.
be the case.
Like
But the thing
legitimately, I think
is-
DK owes him some money.
Yes.
Just saying.
We used to like big wide receivers because they were big. That's not enough anymore. It's like when you stop and think about like Calvin Johnson. Watch him play. It had nothing to do with the fact that he was big. Watch his hands, watch his head work, watch everything. That man was just so good, it wasn't fair. And so little of it had to do with the fact that he was like 6'4". Like we were just talking about T. Higgins. The good thing about T. Higgins isn't the fact that he's tall and he could jump high. The man can maneuver his body to almost snake around a defender to grab the ball while getting his toes inside the line. Big, tall guys now need to be able to be great at something else to still work in this NFL. And there will be those guys.
Always did. I actually think they always did. I think
because
we were chasing Calvin Johnson
quarterbacks
constantly, and it's like saying who's the next Debo. It's the exact same thing. Who's the next Calvin Johnson? And it's like there's no.
But like Des Bryant was never anything special, but the
They're
fact that
all
Tony
unique.
Romo was willing to just throw the ball to him.
That's what I like about what you're saying, though. They all have something that makes them uniquely capable at their size, and that's entirely true. But instead, we try to apply this cookie cutter Calvin Johnson size.
That does not exist. 1,000%.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's
with
like
what Zach said before about
like DK,
Herbert,
how amazing is DK Metcalf? Not doesn't fit this cookie cutter at all,
Yes.
and he's like the epitome of what that cookie cutter is looking for. But anyway, sorry. We get that's a really interesting conversation. I'm going to move on though. Super Cooper, why is AJ Brown always ranked so high when he hasn't stayed healthy in a low volume passing offense? The low volume passing offense is a decent point. Everything else is mostly a function of recency bias. Is the way I'm going to simplify that.
AJ Brown has missed games
he did
every
come
single
back.
year. Every year, including college.
Cool.
Maybe not his last year of college, but like almost every single year he's missed a couple of games, and it's soft tissue stuff. It's not like Saquon. Okay, he healed from this, but then he stepped on a dude's foot and twisted his ankle. No, he gets hamstring injuries. It's just I'm worried about it. He's not my wide receiver 4. Like he's a couple spots down because I don't think you get him for 16.
Am I lagging or is everyone else lagging at this point?
I'm not. Am I lagging?
I was asking. I don't know if I.
No,
am
I was also asking because I don't pay attention to the world when I'm talking because everyone else is supposed to be paying attention to me when I'm talking. So I don't know if I was lagging or not.
That's fair. I do have AJ Brown in that top 4, and it's because I'm not going to do well predicting injuries. That all sounds reasonable to me. I don't know.
1,000%, you're probably doing it right. Just
I don't
saying.
know. It's fair to be
play
concerned.
very anecdotally.
I just know like he was injured this season, came back in the playoffs and went for 200 yards. I know that part of it, and I think he's pretty special in that regard.
Yes.
So I hope
1,000% very talented.
I hope he can have that one year where he plays at least 12 games again. That's just the way I play it, and that's why it's how risk tolerant you are. That's literally it. The Dynasty defense rankings on Fantasy Pros. Yeah, they rank them.
I read once that it was always pronounced defense until like one head coach in the NFL said defense, then everyone just started saying it.
Really? Huh. Zach Harris, what are you doing with Rashad Bateman? I'm taking him to the movies later. Sorry, I love those questions. I have the 102, and I'm thinking about packaging it with Bateman to move up where?
Maybe I think he's just talking about moving it for
getting a better wide receiver than Bateman.
Not up in the draft.
Yeah, I do that. I like Bateman. Same place as Rondell Moore. I want to be higher, but right now the value's decent on him. So like he's worth that mid first round pick. He's very much someone I'll package to go get one of my favorite top elite tier, whoever that is for you. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase are obviously the 2 ones that everyone can name, but you might have others.
If you could walk away with like a Stephon Diggs level guy for the 102 and Rashad Bateman, I do that pretty easy. I don't think you're getting up to Peter's level, but if you can walk away with a 15 to 20 wide receiver for those, I do
with a
that.
102, especially you might could, but yeah, I'd be happy with Stephon Diggs, T. Higgins, Deante Johnson, pushing that a little maybe, but yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Waddle,
you're pretty much out. You're talking 12, 15, 20, like around that. Like I wouldn't go up to wide receiver 3. You're not getting those guys with that. But if you can get that bottom tier of the wide receiver 1s, top tier of the wide receiver 2s, that's a great move. Because while I love Bateman, it's going to be tough traveling for him to get up that high. And again, the 102 in this class is okay. It's not going to be
Marcus Brown, baby.
The thing is, you don't have to trade to go get him.
Just saw an opportunity to say it, so I'm saying. Patrick, I appreciate the defense info. I agree with you guys. I miss their vote to take it out, so I have to. I don't mind defense. To be very clear, I think DST
I mind it
perfectly. Like I enjoy DST leagues. It's just I play mostly on my fantasy league, and it's not a common function.
Just because no one wants it, it's there. No one wants it.
Just know that Russ hates you in your league. That's what I'm saying. I like you. Yeah. Great House 99. I got a question. I have a question.
What is it?
I'm gonna go looking.
Man, this guy's really good at building suspense.
I mean, yeah, honestly, I'm on the edge. Sorry, I get it. We're all so far behind. Beat House, honestly, the best bet is to drop it in the comments and we'll try and catch up. I
mean, we're only 20 minutes behind tonight. That's not too bad.
Wait, is that Gabe at House or Beat House? What?
Beat House 99.
I
think there was like a dance. Joe Herbert, real men and women who want defense and dynasty play IDP. That's probably true. Tom looks like he has a lot more D than me. That is
why I don't play it.
Straight up, where I don't have the stamina to learn that much about IDP players. Really like I'm barely keeping up. I'm barely keeping up with wide receiver and running back. You know, Jesse Riddle, 12 team super flex PPR. 103 of Javante.
101 of Javante.
Yeah.
Javante's running back 3, I think, right now.
Yeah, he's good.
Even if he's not that good, that's what his value is.
That's what his value is. That's what I was going to say. Joe, she's answering our questions. Try to get DJ Moore on a foot. Yeah, say it. She came up with the exact same idea. Dang it.
Perfect. See? Joe's got this.
How did I do?
We did that one.
Yes, we did. But he asked it again. Let's recognize what I'm reading before you are like, no. You read at a third grade level here, Pete. I would be giving up Wilson and getting the first. The guy already said he would do it. Mm-hmm. I missed the first part of this.
Then get the first.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yes, you get the 23 first. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather have Wilson the volleyball than Wilson the Jets quarterback. So getting the 23 first, win.
Tell him to throw a second in.
Yeah, you're greedy.
Russ, make sure you stick that knife in before you say yes. You know?
No, you're just sort of poking a little bit.
Just give a little poke with that.
But you're not saying no. You're saying, how about throwing a second and we'll get it done right now?
What would happen if you did that to me, Russ? I would just say no, and then we would stop talking. I'd be like, nah.
You see, good. You don't know.
Appreciate you, but nah. I offered you a first for Voight volleyball, and you try to get a second.
It's so funny. I talk with Kane Fassell and John Bosch a lot. And we are so different. I am so different from the two of them in the way I do trades. They're just like, no, I sent you an offer, you accept, you decline, and that's the end of the day. That's fine. And I'm like, but I want to negotiate and I want to talk and I want to. No.
I don't.
And if I decline it, that's me talking. And I'm like, okay.
I'm very similar to the back and forth. I don't enjoy.
I love talking to you and those guys about trades because it's just so different from me. My first offer is always so weird, and from what trades actually turn out to be.
Who's worth more in August, ETN or Jerry Judy?
ETN.
ETN then is the answer to this question. Trade for ETN now, and you can trade later.
My answer is I love Judy, and I want the answer to be Judy. And the only way it's the other way around is if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver.
So it's ETN.
It's ETN. Yeah.
Hey Russ, lay off us smokers. Yeah, he's really hurting me.
No, it's just
He's
Peter.
trying to help you.
Not you guys. No one else. Just Peter.
I appreciate you standing up for me, Jesse. I get beaten up a lot in this show. It's about time someone noticed. I give so much love. I never say anything negative to anyone else. No, thank you, Jess. Oh, Jackson was on the same page. Take ETN. And that's why, to be clear, like normally you take the wide receiver, but ETN's going to climb.
He's just better. And he has, yes, his value will go up the second we see him healthy.
They are within 4 spots of ADP right now.
Wow. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
Jesse, this is you sound like how I feel about ETN. Like, I hope it happens, but the way I get to what I think is the right answer is recognizing it doesn't have to. Before the season starts, I'm pretty sure ETN's going to be worth more than that.
Cascade trades. Do the Russ thing. You get ETN now, and then when his value goes up, you can trade him, and you've actually acquired something more valuable than you could have gotten for Jerry Jeudy.
And then you buy ETN back cheaper later.
Yeah. If you want him, like whatever.
Yeah.
Jackson P, knowing that about Higgins, what do you guys think of Drake London?
Zach.
I am so far on the fence with Drake London. It's not funny. He's got very strong hands. He's very good post catch, which is a weird thing to say about a guy who is 6'5", 210. Like, you don't expect him to be very good after the catch, but he is good after the catch, and he's more agile after the catch than I thought. London's a real good blocker. He will pancake guys. He will lay them out and stand over them. He's also very good in traffic, but he has to be, because he does not separate at all. I think he has monophobia, which is the fear of being alone. Like, I think that's. I'm not a doctor, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn last weekend. That's my diagnosis.
Who else doesn't separate at all in the NFL? Just asking.
JJ Arcega,
like, give me an idea. Okay, you can't think of any good player that plays like that. I'm asking.
There are like Mike Williams is a guy who doesn't separate. Okay. But he did for 4 games this year. They used him in the slot the way they used Michael Thomas in New Orleans, and he quasi separated. I think that if
Devontae Parker and Preston Williams.
Yeah.
Tua even complained about it, and I mean that's not the smart move, but like,
I think he put up better stats than both Pittman and Amon-Ra, who have both found a way to be successful, but not in that role you're talking about. That's
it's fine that he put up good numbers, and I'm not saying he didn't, but a lot of his numbers were contested catches, which is a real tough thing to do in the NFL versus. When you watch Pittman and Pittman separated a lot on slants. Amon-Ra St. Brown separated a ton. I just thought he was a little bit of a dog in a negative way. So a lot of times people say, he's a dog. He goes and gets, like, to me, Amon-Ra St. Brown looked like, I'm gonna run half speed on my routes, and he had one big game where he had 4 touchdowns, and everyone was all excited. I did expect him to be a decent slot receiver, not what he has done so far in the NFL with 8 touchdowns in 7 games. Like, I did not expect that. It seems a little bit far-fetched anyway. But with London, like, not only does he not separate particularly well against man coverage, but he also, against zone, will go find a defender and just stand next to him instead of finding that hole. Because again, there are holes in zones, and players hand you off because you're playing an area. So if you move from one area to the next area, there is a period of time where nobody is covering you until there's that handoff. And if you're a good wide receiver, you stop in that and you create a throwing lane for your quarterback. He doesn't really do that. And a lot of his catches are double catches. So, like, he's got real strong hands, but he'll catch it twice. So and then adjust. And in the NFL with corners, every single corner is going to be the best cornerback that he has played against. And so I'm really, I'm concerned. Like, he's still like on the cusp, like 5'6" for wide receivers in this class, but that's more of this class is really down. than it is I like Drake London. Like, if I'm getting him at the back end of the first, I'll take him. Like, that's fine. If somebody takes him in the top 5 picks in my draft, I'm really happy that someone took him.
Someone brought up Kenny Golladay as a non-separator.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a vertical guy.
Too bad Belichick can't draft wide receivers.
No, he cannot.
He got Malcolm Mitchell right. He just,
That
got hurt.
That team bungled that one.
He can draft. He can undraft players real well. Put it that way. Or running backs that convert to wide receivers. Noah Lamont, 10-team Superflex to Deshaun Watson for Elijah Moore on the 109.
Give me more in the pick pretty easily.
Yep.
Besides the fact that I want nothing to do with Watson, 10-team quarterbacks aren't as valuable in Superflex. So give me what I think is a very good wide receiver and a pick, and I'm fine with that.
Yep. Joe, okay, when DK and AJ took over the NFL, no one said this, but now JJ and Chase come. So, yeah, DK and AJ didn't know. AJ ended up getting hurt, and DK was great, but he's just expensive Tyler Lockett. Don't get me wrong, Jake got him right, and he's great. And I really think the 4th year is an interesting year for him in general. But like, he's not Gavin Johnson. He can't be. He's just great at his own thing. So he didn't take over the NFL the same way the smaller guys have done in recent years. Actually, I think she's talking about the height discussion.
Oh, gotcha. Well, also, Jefferson has nothing to do with height. Like, I mean, he's not like out there mossing people. He's just so fucking smooth. And okay, yes, Chase is 1000% a beast, but it's not just because he's tall and fast.
Like, yeah, JJ doesn't even fit into this comp. Yeah.
But Chase is a different beast altogether. He's just all around very, very good. He just happens to be tall.
Yeah, and I think even Metcalf
like
doesn't.
Juju, maybe.
Metcalf is not a vertical separator. Like he is a horizontal separator, but yeah, he's great off press, and he is so fast that you can't stay with him. So
Juju and Hunt for Jacobs. I want Juju's side, and I know you've mentioned Jacobs as a good buy, and I think that's true, but I'm really high on Juju, and I think Hunt's undervalued. So
if you can do Juju for Jacobs, I would talk about it, but adding Hunt, because Hunt is still super usable. And again, if anything happens to Chubb, you got mostly a 1A. But I do like Jacobs, and it's really weird that I went from wanting nothing to do with him to being like, no, I think I'd be cool with him on my team. Mostly because his value hasn't changed, but he started catching passes and started doing a little better. And again, it talks more to the rest of the running backs in the league than it does to Jacobs himself. Like Zach pointed out, we're going to hit 23 and no one's going to want Josh Jacobs anymore because he's just good. But we're going to have great people come in and it's going to push Jacobs down. Josh Jacobs is Jason Witten.
Fine. He's fine. Yeah. Actually, probably the best comparison I've heard. He's fine. Everyone wants to believe that the little extra receptions he had in a longer season means that he's suddenly getting the receiving work. And I really hope it happens.
He did.
He was good at that in college.
At the end of the season, after Gruden was gone, he did. But it's not something that's gonna stick to next year with a different coach. I mean, I guess Zach would know because McDaniels went there. What that means for receiving in the backfield, but
I mean, it depends on what they end up with. I mean, like again, I think that play calling for Tom Brady and play calling for Mac Jones is different than play calling for Derek Carr, or whoever you end up with in
is the play calling that different for Mac Jones and Derek Carr?
Yes, and I don't want to take anything away from Derek Carr, but I think you will see a lot of one read, real quick out plays for Derek Carr, whereas Mac Jones is okay. We're going to run three quick routes, 2, and then the outlet to the running back, and Mac Jones has the ability to process 1, 2, 3. Derek Carr is so much a one read court, and you see him get in trouble with that. Like a lot of his interceptions are he knows where he's going to go with it before the play
Sticks on it.
happens. He drops back and throws it, and it's not there. Also, a lot of the great things that happen with Derek Carr are, I know I'm going to throw it here. So, Darren Waller is going to get the ball. So he throws to Darren, or, it's third and Renfro, and the ball is going to go to Renfro, and that's fine. Yeah, but it's a little bit different than having a quarterback who processes in the play really quickly, as opposed to Carr, who's doing most of his processing before the play.
Okay, that was me underestimating Mac Jones then, because again, I haven't watched many Patriots.
I think
games,
Mac Jones is hitting
quarterbacks, so that was me underestimating Mac then.
I think Mac Jones is hitting everyone different because he's literally an old school type of quarterback in a new school type of world, but he's good at that.
He just doesn't have a very good arm. Like, he doesn't have a downfield arm. No, and he doesn't. And a lot of what McDaniels did last year for Mac Jones is, again, two quick hitters. It's a slant with Jacoby Myers and a cross with Bourne or whoever's on the other side. And then if those weren't there, it's Ramondre Stevenson or Harris or whoever out of the backfield, and that's what they do.
Yeah, I think you're right again here, Joe, by the way. It's what they do and how good they are at it, not what shape they are while they do it.
Absolutely.
That's how I would say it. John O2, Des Bryant was really good. I agree. Moving on. No, he was amazing with his hands, which is why he caught everything. Again, I think Russ said it best.
Very good hands. He had very
these
good
players hands. Do specific things just uniquely great. And it's not really because he's tall. It's that he has this unique skill set, and he's built like that. Like, that has to come with the other thing.
But also the decline of Des Bryant had nothing to do with Des Bryant. They lost Tony Romo and got Dak Prescott, and that's why Des disappeared.
There were 2 years where Kyle yelled at me because he had Des Bryant on his team. He's like, "What is going on? You said Dak Prescott is good." And he is. But he's not the type.
Not at that.
No, he needed Cole Beasley, which was fantastic because I rostered Cole Beasley. I mean, he needs the players who create separation, on the field, as opposed to vertical separation where they can go up and get it. And Des Bryant, for everything he was, he's not a lateral separation. He's not a guy creating separation on the field. He's creating separation above his defender.
He was out there mossing people every day. Like, that's what Des did, and he was great at it. But again, if you need a very specific kind of quarterback, you might not be great. Yeah. I mean, that's just no one is QB proof, maybe besides DeAndre Hopkins, because man, the guys he'd have to play as quarterbacks.
Jacob Rickrow remembers that one year he did bad with a backup quarterback. And this is both the beginning and the end, and where the two sides meet between, does quarterback matter for your wide receiver? I'm on this team, it doesn't. Jacob Rickrow and others on the team, it does. And it meets right here where you've got a uniquely talented player who needs a certain type of, and it makes it's awkward for me because I have no insight into which is which. But it definitely happens.
It helps if you watch football.
The answer is both, though. The answer is both because like
no one ever thought of doing that.
None of these players are playing in a vacuum.
Aren't doing that. You'll be the first.
You've got wide receivers relying on quarterbacks to throw them the ball. You've got quarterbacks relying on wide receivers to get open in a way that they feel comfortable with. So it's like it's symbiotic. It's not like wide receivers are dependent on quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are dependent on wide receivers. They are. Both
why I loved Golladay going to the Giants, because I knew Daniel Jones don't care if you're open or not. He's gonna throw the ball.
That's what it means. There's that very specific join where a wide receiver can fail because of quarterback, and that's why I tend to side on the other side. The player can do a lot more in a lot more situations to be good, no matter who. I think, but DeAndre Hopkins had a down year with like Benny Finnegan or whoever the frick. No one cares. I could say
I'm going to go make a Texans jersey with Finnegan.
Benny Finnegan
Joe McGaffigan, and everyone will be like, I'm not looking it up. I am not.
The Bearcats. I love them.
Yeah. The good old Bearcat Bengals. I remember them. Jesse Riddle, Pittman is a low volume offense too. I don't think that's the way I would think of Indianapolis. Actually, I think it's a really smart and well-rounded team, which means the volume's going to be what it needs.
They're
to be.
game dependent. They absolutely.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, it's a really smart.
Like team. Tennessee is a running team. That's what they do. They have Jonathan. The Colts have Jonathan Taylor, so they could be a running team. But there is absolutely times you get angry that Jonathan Taylor doesn't get the ball more. So it is absolutely.
And I think the passing volume is much more about the wide receiver in that circumstance. I'm sorry, it's not even an anti-Pittman thing.
And let's be honest, and a little bit
to Jonathan Taylor in that situation. It makes more sense. I think it's a really smart team, which is good for Pittman and good for Jonathan Taylor.
I hope they get another wide receiver though. They need it, even though I love Pittman.
Yeah.
I'm reading Joe's statement.
Oh, I thought you were just saying I said something good. Never mind.
No, no. That's not the way I'm going to clip it. Guys like AJ Brown and Gertz excel at one of the most utilized routes in the league so far. Yeah, I thought.
Yes.
What's his name? Damn it! I always forget this guy's name. He uses a lot of route data. He writes for
Matt Harmon.
Is the only guy I know, that does a lot of routes.
He was
maybe I did make it into the wide receiver
route utilization in the NFL. And rookies are excelling in those routes, and he does a utilization report. He's very into routes, and he's one of the few people who actually can. Oh, I see using routes in a way. I'm like, yes, that is how you use routes. Don't act like it's target share. And he was saying literally the same thing. And Chris Olave came up, by the way. He did very, very well.
I think I did actually get into the Treylon Burks talk because I think I remember I almost called him Mormon because his freaking handle's Fat Mormon. Foreman talking about Burks being like Michael Thomas, where he could just take that slant route and go down. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that does sound familiar now.
Jess Riddle, don't worry about AJ Brown.
Okay, I'm done. Good. AJ Brown's awesome. I'm not worrying anymore. Thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
I wouldn't call him weak to his face, but you're a braver man than me, right? FF Lefty. No one seemed to be lagging, but my money's
Yep.
It's that basement Wi-Fi you got.
The two hamsters on the wheel.
Bullying is a serious issue, guys. Stop it. But hitch crosses in it heavily utilized as well. Yeah, I really recommend checking out that guy whose name I can't remember. It was a really interesting tweet. He does the utilization.
Check out this guy I read from something that time.
It's got to be findable based on that. Oh, frick. You guys take over the show. I'm finding it.
Okay, hold on. I have to find out where we are in the chat.
I feel like his name is Cooper, but there are too many Coopers. Dang it.
Joe sass Russ and Zach are right.
Russ and Zach, yes, we are. I don't care.
If a big guy can run heavily utilized routes, then they're fine. And that's true. But it also, I think that it's not necessarily, and it's what Joe said earlier, it's not that they're big players. It's that they happen to be big players with this skill set as opposed to being, because for a while there were people that was like, team, big wide receiver. And I know you joke about big Clemson wide receiver, but that was a thing where people were like, I want to go get big wide receivers. Yeah. And then it transitioned. I mean, there's a really great Adam Harstead has a podcast called Fantasy Football in Theory. And if you go back to, and it's evergreen, so you can listen to it now. But the first couple episodes, one of them was called the Bantam Menace and whatever the next one is. And he talks about body types and being able to play positions in the NFL and how it's being big doesn't necessarily give you an advantage. It gives you certain advantages, but it takes away others and being smaller. And so it's worth going back and listening to, but absolutely that being big doesn't necessarily mean that you're running these routes, but having that skill set to run those routes and being big is an advantage.
Jeremy Clark.
Why am I getting played by Joe as well? Why was I separated out from this? I didn't disagree with that. Joe, don't join him, okay? Don't run with this bad crowd. Jeremy Clark,
is a stud. Anyone doubting him is a clown. Yes, but Peter made me stop wearing the face paint. It's not my call. Also, I'd be wearing it if I could. He made me
Didn't
stop.
doubt him. Just worried about injuries is a different thing. Jacob Calloway, 106 and 107. Like, injuries are not a weakness of a person. I think that connection shouldn't be made. 107 and 106 plus Amon Ra for Lawrence in a 12-team Superflex.
Yeah, because he's a quarterback, but that's close.
Yeah, no, that's probably really good value. And honestly, yeah, I think I do it just because nothing will make me feel thrilled. I'm getting at 106, 107, or Amon Ra, even though I will probably like all of those guys. Having Lawrence on my team just makes me happy. And I know that's not great hashtag analysis, but this game's supposed to be fun. Go get Lawrence.
His name is Dwayne McFarlane, and he writes the utilization report for the.
Oh crap!
I don't know.
Said that later on.
I'm putting it in the chat. I'm putting the exact tweet in the chat. Go read that. It's a really good tweet.
I thought they were joking about when you made up a name for a wide receiver, for a quarterback. But someone says you're thinking about Dwayne McFarlane.
Probably. Toronto Dave.
Hey, Dave.
102 and 103. I got to try a trade back in both things. This class isn't top heavy. Actually, I think it's extraordinarily top heavy. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, but the top isn't as high as the other tops of classes.
No, but it's within the first two. And if it's super flex, it's within the top three. I think that's fine.
And it was Dave who pointed out that you were talking about Dwayne McFarlane. It was just 5 minutes ago that he did it.
Thanks, Dave.
This class is
someone's got my back.
Like, this class is like two players top heavy.
Oh, and Jesse. Don't forget Jesse. He had your back too.
Of course. Jesse, we stick together, me and you, Mr. Riddle, for life.
Yeah, you go and stick with Voldemort's brother. It's fine.
I will. Tom's good. Tom's good people too. I gotta say. Jacob Calloway, how much does market value for rookies change after events like the Senior Bowl Combine? A lot, especially when it's Wild West and no one actually has to draft yet. I mean, literally, before we get the NFL draft, the Senior Bowl is a legitimate source of what and the Combine are what teams might do. So I think it'll bump around a lot from here to
especially because they've become spectacles and we got nothing better to do. So that does absolutely change value.
That's my flipping Peter. Someone does. Appreciate that. Joe, I love negotiating trades too. Just reveling how I really feel about it. Past motors. Yeah.
I love it's funny. Like I talk with Bosch and he's like, I'm not giving away free information how I rank people and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my God, have a little fun in your life, John. Jeez. Like,
John, no. Calm down. That is how John has fun.
It's not like
it's not like such a. He's an individual.
Not like you couldn't just like do a quick
he
Twitter search of FF John Bosch or John Bosch FF and have everything that he thinks for.
No, the real fan for life. Great is go look up at Empire FFL. That's where he keeps his real stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And what is monophobia? The fear of
being alone.
Fear of being alone. Yeah, I think that's human.
Wow, he does not listen when you talk, Zach.
Never. It's the story of my life.
Kenny Golladay doesn't separate.
Didn't you say like Zach needed to leave like a half hour ago?
Yes.
I waiting for an exit.
Oh crap!
Line.
It's almost midnight. I should be sleeping.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up, folks. Patrick, I can't summarize this. Send offers, either accept or refuse. B, discuss. One. No, this is just talking about general trades. I'm moving. Yeah, know your league mates.
Know your league mates is the easiest answer in the world, but it's not as fun.
Where do you draft rookie tight ends? Depends on how they rank to the other players. This year, you can take a tight end at the end of the first this year. It's one of those classes. Kyle Pitts is very much a unicorn in all regards.
Learn your lessons with the David Njoku's and OJ Howard, and just don't bother. Just figure it out later, unless it's someone.
Isn't
like
that the
Kyle
year
Pitts.
we were also drafting JJ Sega-Whitesides around him? No, I mean some classes.
No, that was before Whiteside.
I can't remember.
I mean, that was 2017. Like,
Njoku
and OJ Howard were drafted before Juju.
Okay, that's
not in some
not in my
leagues.
league.
We'll say that.
Hashtag not in my league.
Same page. James Nickman, 10-team PPR Dynasty. Lamar, Javonte Williams, assume Henry, Gibson, Chase, AJ Brown, Bateman, Chase Edmonds. Thoughts? I like it. Just really strong roster. Yeah.
You might want to get a little. I mean, 10 teams, you care about studs more than you care about anything else, but you might need one or two more.
JJ and Chase are on another level. I think, yeah, about the same. We've talked about a few trades you regret,
but I'm not going to remember them because I don't look back. But the answer is most likely yes.
I traded away Elijah Moore this year.
I think it's a lot harder to remember things you didn't do than things that hurt you. Like a lot of people
have that story though. Like, oh man, I had this trade in my inbox and I didn't do it, and the next thing you know, it's Christian McCaffrey. Like, you know, like a lot of people do have that story. Honestly, I don't, because chances are I just don't remember.
Who drops worse if the team drafts as a wide receiver? It strikes me as an odd question. I don't know. There's one that's more at risk.
Brown.
But St. Brown is the one that's most at risk of having that happen.
Every one of these teams are drafting a wide receiver. All of them.
In early rounds is the one. But more Waddle and Smith were all early, like first round.
You're hardly concerned at all.
But like you were saying before, St. Brown isn't what he was at the end of this season.
He's also not that. But yeah,
they're asking who stock drops the most, and it's
St. Brown.
Okay, let me say this: it shouldn't. Will it? Probably,
but it should be lower than it is right now. So when that happens, it'll be down where it should be. Like that.
Right, yeah, I'm trying to think logically, and I should not be. I apologize.
I'm less worried about Smith, actually, Jackson. He's slightly above Bateman and more for me in terms of what he did this year.
He's real good, yeah. He's kind of being slept on a little bit, which is...
I've been saying, like, I want to buy Bateman, buy more, but it's Devontae Smith. Everyone's saying Elijah Moore, and it's Devontae Smith, I really think. Where do you generally slot 23 picks compared to 2022?
Ahead of them.
Yeah.
Generally,
it shouldn't be, but it is. I mean, we're way too close to the draft now to ignore the fact that's where we're at.
If I'm 106 or after, I would rather have the 23 pick.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the line. Yeah, and honestly, it would take very little on top of the 23 first to get me off like the 4 or 5.
Maybe. I think different players can help out quarterbacks a lot more than a lot of people think. Peter, would your opinion change if Adams isn't as good if Jordan Love starts next year? I mean, no, because it's not a black and white opinion.
Right, it's not zero sum.
That side. And you know, having Aaron Rodgers matters very clearly, but I think Devontae Adams. I know at this point in his career, people will argue whether it's the age cliff. But yeah, I would expect him not to have as good opportunities without Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, one single event's never going to change my entire opinion on a subject because I'm an idiot.
The thing is, we saw Devontae Adams be historically bad with Aaron Rodgers, and then we saw him become great with Aaron Rodgers. So
I think some of that's at play again.
To me, that speaks to Adams, not just the fact that it was Rodgers with him.
See, this conversation usually comes up with who's going to be the next Randall Cobb. It's Aaron Rodgers, so the wide receiver 2 in Green Bay is going to be the next Randall. But that clearly was Randall Cobb's doing, or at least he had a large part of it. Because Aaron Rodgers has consistently made lots of good players good for parts, but Randall Cobb was consistently a top 24 wide receiver with Jordy Nelson. Then I think he played with Devontae Adams as well at the same time. So, like, the player had an effect on that. And I think normally when we're talking about good quarterbacks, we're like, so who else can they make good? It's like, if you don't have a good player, you don't have shit. The quarterback can't make a top 24 wide receiver. Yes, his top wide receivers probably get affected by having a lower level of quarterback play, I think that's the answer somewhere in the middle. Jaden Sharp trying to trade 101 for a 23 first. What would be a fair on top of that? It's a 101, so it is worth more.
I honestly give me 23 first and also the 101.
Yeah,
that's cheap. Gonna be honest. That's cheap for what a 101 should be, but I still think I do it.
But because of the way the value is moving on these classes, I think that'd be a solid offer right now.
Yeah.
Jackson P, even with Smith's draft capital, I don't feel like Hurts will be able to see. That's the thing. That's where you're feeding into that. I don't entirely good read on the situation. Not even going to challenge it. It's just quarterback's never going to affect what I think of what a player did that much. If you know what I mean. That's kind of also why I slide on saying quarterbacks matter less than we think.
But also, I think it's more the offense itself you might be worried about. Like the last 6 games, it became very run heavy. But you also need to understand, like, I came into this season loving the idea of Jalen Reagor for the pure reason of with a better wide receiver next to him, Reagor can do the things he's good at. Apparently, he forgot he was good at catching the ball. That's really the first step. But if a strong
they
wide
won Jalen Reagor. That's what you learned. They won.
If a good wide receiver walks in next to Deante Smith can stick to doing Deante Smith things, and that he'll get open more often, and he'll be able to get the ball more often.
Deante Smith led the Eagles
getting Marcus
in targets,
everything probably,
in receptions, in yards, and in receiving touchdowns. Relax.
He's getting Marcus Brown.
He's good.
Skinnier and he's fast, and they're like, I don't know. It's like just.
I think it's a dig on Hurts more than anything else because Hurts isn't super. He's not super accurate in any way, shape, or form, and people are just really taking it out. But also,
his value adjusts for it. You don't have to like Hurts too much right now.
The fact that Hurts is not a top 5 wide quarterback, and the fact that Devonta Smith isn't a top 12 to 15 wide receiver, even though I think he's 16. That's already baked into everything. All of this information we're talking about. But Devonta's really freaking good.
You know who led the Eagles in touchdowns outside of Jalen Hurts? Led the Eagles in total touchdowns?
Devonta Smith?
Boston Scott.
It's really funny because when you were talking about your running backs, I'm like, oh, you got Boston Scott. You're fine.
I do.
But like, we also like are writing off the fact that Jalen Hurts can get better. Remember how bad Josh Allen was his first 2 years? Or like year and a half? Like his accuracy improved from 53% to 58%.
And early enough, I don't get to say Stephon Diggs did that, to be fair. Like Josh Allen made a significant improvement that I don't think I've ever seen a quarterback do. Ever.
Yeah, he was getting better. Don't get me wrong, but yes, Diggs got there and it went to the high 60s and like he was throwing deep touchdowns in the way
some of that's clearly Allen, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't think Stephon Diggs helped.
Having Stephon Diggs don't hurt.
It don't hurt, you know.
It don't hurt.
Yeah, and it's fair to be, but right now the value is adjusted for it. That's what I'll tell you. And
yes,
it's really okay to like Smith right now.
We're caught up.
We are caught up. So I'm just
freaking compliment, Peter. Take it.
Nope. Really appreciate it, guys. We stream 9:30 every Wednesday, and apparently we're just going to keep going, even though it's a weekly Dynasty Grind and there are no more weeks. We're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep doing it as long as you guys keep showing up. And
there are still weeks. There's just not NFL weeks.
Right. We're in the non-point scoring season now, Peter.
I don't understand what you just said. Like the concept of time outside of what?
I'm not even sure.
You don't even watch the games. You don't care about the weeks, Peter.
We can count weeks, Zach. So I can. No, that's fair. Really appreciate it, everyone. Tacit Assassin 13 for Zach Reed on Twitter and at Dynasty Outhouse for Russ on Twitter. Dynasty Dummies podcast for Zach Reed and Trade FBA podcast for Russ Fisher. Check them both out. They're awesome and they're not always encumbered by me. Really appreciate all of you, and we'll see you again next
Dynasty Crossroads.
Next week. Just saying random words now. Okay, cool.
Watermelon.
Daytime.
Volkswagen Beetle. Top hat. What's that over there?